If the fence rests, let's lay it down. Gonna dig deep, wave that verdict round. The defense rests, time to analyze. With the evidence, we'll unveil the crime. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests.
Good morning, my lovelies. Good morning. Welcome to day 8 of this shit show. The shit show we call the Natalie Cochran shit show. Welcome. Good morning, Christine. How are you? I think jury selection was yesterday, as far as I'm aware. They were planning hopefully to start today. There isn't a thumbnail up yet, so I'm just keeping an eye on it. But that's all right. I don't have to play that till later. So welcome everyone. I actually didn't finish the end of day. So good morning, sweetness. How are you? Did you watch the end of day 7 yesterday at RA's, or I went to and yeah. Good morning, Miss Anna. Did we all watch yesterday, the finish of yesterday with the other medical examiner? Yeah, I did too. Yeah, I had every intention, and just I was bored out of my brain. You're hearing the same things over and over. How many times can he ask the same question? Apparently a lot. I'm knackered. I'm really exhausted, actually. Had a shitty day. Yeah, a lot of pain, but that's all right. Tanya actually brought me over some of these. I've never heard of them before. They're like a local anaesthetic in a patch. And she put 2 on my back, and they're really helping, so that's good. Excellent. All right, well, it's not started yet. Court hasn't started, so I don't know what the defence is actually doing. I don't know what their plan of attack is. I don't get it, not even in the slightest. And the state as well, they're just they're bringing up all these alternate theories, like, the pseudoephedrine. Well, did you know that the defendant had an injection and a script for those, and the victim is allergic? Right, so now you're saying that's the cause? I don't. Yeah, this is what I've got to say to the defence. Yep, a great big fat one. They just skimmed around it. They scooted around it. I don't even know if they're public defenders. I would hope they were, because it's a shit show, just quietly. So are we all convinced beyond a reasonable doubt yet, or not? Because I certainly don't believe that they have brought anything to the table. And I believe, well, I actually know, given that Steve dropped the hint yesterday, because he spoke to the attorney, and she will be testifying. So we'll see if that is today. Let me have a look in the description box. I've rearranged my screens and I'm lost. I don't know which way I'm looking. Day 8. Defence rests its case in chief. Oh, she won't. All right, well, I'm going to have to go back, I think. Sorry. I figure you guys haven't seen it either then, so we'll go back to the end of yesterday and follow it through to today. That one. Add just a I think. One. I'm going around in circles because I'm going backwards today. I'm doing everything in reverse. You watch me swap it around again.
It's so hard to determine that that's the cause, isn't it?
So from a detection standpoint, if I'm judging it,
Good morning,
I'm not
again.
talking about the administration and all that. Yes, it's quite difficult. It's a large molecule. It can degrade. You have to suspect it. So it can be challenging to detect. Absolutely.
As understatements go, challenging would be a good way to put it.
Okay.
It's very tough to do.
Correct.
Now, are you familiar with the Clarksburg VA cases?
I don't know.
Okay.
This is my one and only foray into West
Got it.
Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
West
not
Virginia.
particularly a nature
Touch
person,
your
so I don't
mama.
think I'm like out here otherwise.
You're a city girl.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Let's, if I could have defendants 12, please.
Or we can watch this
The
on
chart's
time
right
and a
there.
half.
That's 10.
Oh, 12 is my report.
It is.
I think she may.
Yeah, I have the formal copy if you need it.
You, okay.
Yeah.
Let me borrow that from you, please, Doctor.
Oh.
Doctor, let's just go through some of the opinion and supporting facts. And that's what we were talking about earlier.
Sure.
A brief history is that Michael Cochran was 38 years old with possible history of seizure.
Yes.
That's all it is. It's possible. You didn't have anything affirmative in the medical records that said this guy has seizures.
He had a prior episode.
Okay. But did they say he had a seizure disorder, or did they just say he has seizures, or we don't know? Suspected.
Right. It was one episode, and I don't know that it was worked up further. So I noted the history of, they said possible seizure disorder, I think resulting from that episode that he had. So that's how I stated it.
Is a possible seizure the same thing as a diagnosis of
No,
seizures?
no.
Okay. And the same thing with the possible brain mass. That's not the same thing as here's a brain mass. This-
Correct.
Okay.
I think what they were lending it, and this is directly extracted from the medical records that I reviewed, that they were trying to see if he had a brain mass as a cause of that seizure, adult onset seizure.
And nobody ever found out.
Not that I'm aware of.
Complained of dizziness and basically fainting. Who did he complain to?
I don't recall.
Okay. He later fell to the floor and was unarousable by his wife. Where did that information come from?
Again, this is within all the materials given to me. I couldn't cite a page number or anything like that.
Okay. She, being the defendant, drove him to the ED. That's the emergency department at Raleigh General.
Correct.
Okay. And he had vomited. You list some other things. You don't put in there that his blood glucose was 21 at this point in your report.
It's 2 paragraphs down. If you see it, it's
Right.
not far because it's still within the background.
It is.
Okay, so I don't really get into the labs until later. So it's all with its partners, all the laboratory results I talk about.
Okay. Investigation showed he was taking some unspecified benzodiazepine. Who did the investigation?
I don't know. There was some report of that.
And it was in the form of a positive urine screen, right?
Well, that's there too.
Okay.
Yes,
But
definitely.
the investigation that showed he was taking some unspecified benzodiazepine there really wasn't any investigation that you know of, was there?
I can't cite a specific. I don't have the police report either. It was never provided.
Same thing with the anabolic steroids. That's just something somebody reported to somebody else.
Well, yes, and any potential history that is reported by whoever is still important, and that's why I noted. You can't just you take it at face value.
Okay. You note his longstanding use of pseudoephedrine. Was that Sudafed? Is that
That's a brand name in medical school. We're always taught to do the generic, and pseudoephedrine is how it's documented in that West Virginia state report as well.
okay? But I mean, if that's what he thought he was taking, Sudafed, that would just be a name brand of the stuff.
So he was prescribed it. I don't know where it was tracked. So I don't know if that's tracked by a pharmacy. I don't know exactly how the states run, but it had months and months of use documented.
Okay.
I was listening to, I did hear a little bit of Recovery Addict yesterday, and his opinion was that, you know, she's been able to convince so many people out of so much money, maybe it would be worthwhile her testifying if she's convincing, but she's apparently not. She was going to, but yeah, apparently not now.
Before you started working with dead people, you were doing other doctor stuff,
You don't think
right?
she needs to?
Correct. So I always tell people that I did a year of training to know what it's like to treat living people.
Okay.
I think they've created enough
And
now.
had you
could be-
did a rotation in the ER or ED?
So
They may have
let
done
me
a shit
backtrack.
job,
So
Go
but
ahead.
my only experience in the ER or ED, we sort of use that interchangeably, is through medical school. My preliminary year that you're referring to, so that means similar to Dr. Halsey, the first year of internal medicine training is what I did at UPenn. So I graduated medical school and did that. I did not have any other emergency room training as a part of that internship. Okay, we would go and get patients, they would get worked up in the ER and then admitted to internal medicine where I could be their intern, their first doctor, their junior doctor. But I never represent myself to be an ER expert or ER physician.
If one of those patients had presented to you from the ER with a blood glucose of 21, that would have gotten your attention, wouldn't it?
I sure hope so,
Yeah. How come?
because it's low.
Very low.
Correct. And I'm hoping the ER wouldn't send someone to me up to the floor. I hope they would take care of that. That's to me what an emergency room should do.
Mhm.
In your history of this case, were you told that at one point the defendant made the claim that this Michael Cochran hit his head so hard that he chipped a stone countertop?
I don't know that. I just know that when I read through the medical records, there was a documentation of a fall with possible head trauma. He had a CAT scan done and there was no internal head trauma. As far as I know, there was nothing like a bump or bruise notated in the medical records. That's really what I'm relying on to make my assessment, because obviously histories can vary, as we've discussed. And so I rely more on the medical history and the medical notations made.
Had he hit his head hard enough to cause damage to a stone countertop, you'd expect to find something, wouldn't you?
I'm sorry, find something where?
On his
Damage
head.
through a CT scan, visible bruising, visible cuts, that kind of
Right.
stuff.
So I think the method of detection depends on the answer. So whether it's a physical exam, like a bump or a bruise or laceration, yes. Hard falls, as surprising as it is, don't always yield internal injury. So even at autopsy, we see that people who don't catch their falls, they might have a laceration, but they may not have anything internally. And that's why the CAT scan is done. You can have a bump or bruise on the outside. You really need to make sure what's going on the inside. And per my recollection, his CT scan was completely normal.
And from all accounts of both medical and non-medical people, there was no external evidence of trauma.
Not that I saw noted.
Okay. There is a text from the defendant saying that Michael's been asleep since before 9:34 in the morning. There's no evidence after that he ever regained consciousness. Were you aware of that?
No.
Were you aware that when he allegedly hit his head so hard that he chipped this or broke this countertop, that instead of calling 911, she called 2 construction guys who carried him from the kitchen floor to the couch? Were you aware of that?
No.
Were you aware that she left him lay on the couch until he urinated himself sometime in the afternoon, about 3 or 4 o'clock?
No.
Were you aware that even after that, she didn't take any steps to get him medical care until she showed up at Raleigh General Hospital many hours later?
I don't have a detail of what happened prior. I just know what happened starting at the hospital presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, 10. Hi, sweetheart. These
If this
Patches
is a
are awesome.
mischaracterization, tell me.
Thank you.
But it sounds like you're pretty dismissive of the opinions of Drs. Krieger and Uribe.
I mean, Dr. Krieger's really a clinician. And I think as Dr. Dragovich said, she's not really an expert in classifying cause or manner of death. So I am not here to refute. I don't know what honestly, I don't remember a lot of her testimony because it was outside the area of my expertise. I think Dr. Uribe has potentially overstepped. I have a different professional opinion, which I also answered with Mr. Selden, that I think it's the cause and manner of death should both be undetermined based on the condition of the body and what can and cannot be collected from the body or what was, excuse me.
And that's strictly based on the 2 autopsies?
No, and the medical records as well.
Well, you had the benefit of the MRI report from CAMC from February 8th of 2019, didn't you?
It's probably in there. Yes, I'm assuming that's after his initial presentation. So assuming it's there, I don't have it memorized.
No. I understand that. But it showed that massive brain swelling, basically.
Yeah, oh yes, there was cerebral edema.
Yeah.
They're
And,
awesome.
But you're not
It
willing
really,
to say
really
that you
helped.
think that caused
Thank
it?
you.
So I think if we get into it, cerebral edema is significant, but there's many routes that lead to cerebral edema. Drug overdose is one. Hypoglycemia could be one. But I can't just look at medical records to make a cause of death. That's what the autopsy is there for, okay? So we don't practice in a black box. We always consider the circumstances. We consider whatever records we have made available. But the autopsy is the gold standard, okay? That's where I'm looking at the condition of the body, the organs, and the main data that I take to synthesize my cause and manner of death, along with ancillary studies such as toxicology. So I am here as a forensic pathologist to opine on what I think his cause and manner of death is. And I really can't tell you what that is. His body's too decomposed. And in our field, it is acceptable to use undetermined as a cause of death and undetermined as a manner of death.
It is. But it's also the option of the forensic pathologist to state a determination of what they believe the cause and manner of death was.
They're professional opinions.
They are.
So you've got 2 that believe that it's
The defense
undetermined
has
and
kind
1
of tossed this out here that
is
there are
homicide.
these sinister sounding purchases from Mexico. Where's stage 2? Okay. Very funny, Miss Smarty Pants. It's not here. It's the FBI report. Or is that? No, I'm sorry. That's 17, isn't it?
Yep.
Never mind. 17. Dr. Haney, what's been marked for identification, it actually entered into evidence in state 17. Take a quick look at that, please.
Just to advise, I've not seen this previously.
I understand.
Oh, okay. It's quite detailed. Yes. What would you like
Well,
to look
just
at?
the conclusions.
Oh,
The
sorry.
testing.
Where?
They haven't
The
started.
results or the
Yeah.
interpretation? There's quite, which one?
Yeah, could I have it back?
Oh,
No,
sorry. Yeah.
They
there's a
haven't
lot.
started in court day 8 yet.
Take a look at item 3.
Can I just read it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Take time.
Item 3 was a bottle marked in part as, quote, enclomiphene citrate containing a clear, colorless liquid. It goes on to state it was containing glycerol and letrozole. Enclomiphene was not identified.
So the mysterious and sinister sounding Mexican purchased drugs were not what they were purported to be.
Oh, it was a different
It
one.
was 1
Yeah,
vial.
Not the same thing at all.
7 months later.
This line of questioning, we don't know what these
Mhm.
substances were. They weren't actually clarified. They weren't stated. They're just unknown substances.
I bet you that was kept out.
It's the FBI report. I think it's a known substance. Wouldn't you agree with that, Doctor?
I'm just reading what they reported.
Right. But you have no reason to question the FBI lab results, do you?
I'm taking it at face value.
Okay.
That was
Just
sneaky.
to clarify, Your Honor, I'm not objecting to the FBI report. I'm objecting to the so-called Mexican substances, which were never documented. We don't know what they were.
Well, the state would agree with that. They were never documented.
I understand the objection is over. I'll preserve your exception.
This is a text from the defendant. And I call your attention to this part. Mike was so mad this AM about not being able to go today, he had to take 2 of my blood pressure pills. Did you see any evidence from the medical records of a blood pressure pill in the Michael Cochran system?
I'm sorry, let's clarify. In his system, like a postmortem
Do you have
toxicology?
any medical records that say he had taken 2 blood pressure pills?
I don't have any data to support
No.
that. Okay.
You don't.
And no toxicology.
Right.
No.
Yeah,
And
they're
again,
good. They're
The
the,
defendant affirms
I get them
that he
as
taken
well.
2 of her blood pressure pills.
They
And you
smell
don't know-
awesome.
Medically, there's no evidence of that one way or the other. Right?
Okay, I'm not sure how this leads back to my cause and manner of death.
We're
but
gonna get
okay.
Bear with me. We're right on the doorstep.
Okay.
At 102, this picture goes out, and the defendant says that she checked his blood glucose, and it was 145. Can you read that?
No.
Oh, there you
It's-
go.
Okay.
Now you can read
Yeah.
that. That's my fault.
Okay. And it's a lot hazier on my screen as well, but yes, it's just a listing of some vital signs and a blood glucose of 145.
They're
And that's
fine.
it. 105, 106, 102.
I have no idea the timestamps cut off.
Well, here's another one
Okay.
to a different person.
Okay, yeah,
So she took a photo of him on the
that
floor.
says a timestamp of 106.
Bear that time and that number in mind, please.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No, I did not.
At 6:30, the defendant says
They're, you get them
blood
from the
sugar
Asian
is
shops 10.
115.
I'll
Okay.
see
Correct.
if I can
Yes,
get some
that's
for
what it
you.
says in the text message.
They're like a methylated deep heaty type of thing. They're good.
We can either
Oh, you
use
can't have
defendant's
heat.
10 or
No, not good
we'll
for
just
you.
use the same chart from
Oh,
the
sure. Okay.
Okay. You were not told about those 2 blood glucose level measurements until today. Is that right?
Correct.
The very top of your chart,
Yeah.
you base your chart on the assumption that an alleged event occurred at approximately 12 o'clock.
Correct.
The alleged event was what?
that-
Insulin.
That's when he fainted and due to possible
That's all good
exogenous
for that.
insulin administration.
Would the 2 readings that she claimed she got, would that be consistent with the 12 o'clock on a non-diabetic injection?
It could, because I don't know what all is in his system. Obviously, there's some drugs that are not the correct ones. And I have no way of assessing what was in his system. My understanding is he used multiple supplements that are not regulated by the FDA.
Me either.
And, I don't know. And so whether they're foreign, domestic, et cetera, I have no idea what any medication's effects would be on him, his blood glucose, his other.
I've actually got 2 little teddy bear things gummy bears in my drawer to try, but I'm not game.
Their vitals, et cetera.
I might
Well,
have one this morning.
Those are all unknowns, and those are fair points. But we do have a known. When he got to Raleigh General 2 hours later,
May have tried
his
some.
blood glucose was 21, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so in theory, it dropped from 115
really?
to 21 in a couple hours.
Okay.
I'm just 6
Now, doctor, you are not expected to be familiar with Raleigh County geography, but I'm going to ask you to assume that this is true.
Okay.
From the defendant's residence on 4H Lake Road to Raleigh General Hospital would be approximately a 30-minute trip.
She naughty.
Accept that. For me, okay. On February 6th of 2019, at 7:30 in the evening, it would be dark, correct?
In this, well, it's February, so right, still winter time. Yes, relatively so. Yes, I would say shorter days.
Now, in your information coming to you was that this defendant drove her husband to the ER.
That's right.
In fact, his best friend drove him to the ER.
Sure.
He was laid out in the back of the SUV, and she was with him. Those are the only 3 people in the vehicle.
Okay.
It's night. It's 7:30 or so, and by the time they get to Raleigh General Hospital, his blood glucose is 21.
Yes.
Does your chart or does your report in any way negate the possibility that he received 1, more than 1 injection of insulin, or 2, when he got it? You don't know.
That chart is solely based on those assumptions as
Assumptions.
stated. Okay.
Fair
So
enough.
I haven't made other charts based on other scenarios.
Right.
It's all it's that approximation, and anything else would be a chart based on another hypothetical situation.
Based upon your research into Humalog, it would kick in how many minutes? 5 to 25 minutes?
I had 10 to 15, but
10 to 15 minutes?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So that's when the Humalog would be effective.
So what I read, just to restate clearly, is that you administer it 10 to 15 minutes later, it sort of gets into the system and starts acting. It peaks at 1 hour and can last anywhere from 4 to 6 hours.
And the effect of that would be to bring down the blood glucose level, correct?
That's what insulin does, yes.
Doctor, you, on the last portion of your report, you say, I am relying on information you have provided me at the present time. Thus, my opinions are preliminary, may change if other information is offered for me to review. And you reserve the right to change your...
Absolutely.
Since you were not provided with blood glucose readings in the afternoon or the early evening, you were not provided
enough.
with the circumstances under which the victim or Mr. Cochran got to the hospital. That's all new information to you today, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Are you aware that the defendant is a trained pharmacist?
I was told that, but I don't know her qualifications.
Okay. Are you aware that she held herself out to be a specialist in diabetes?
I did not know that.
Wouldn't you agree with me that someone with that kind of background and training would be well acquainted with the impact of insulin?
I don't have any way to judge that. I assume so. If she has those qualifications, even as a medical student, I was aware of insulin, and I'm sure parents who have, or plenty, other people who deal with diabetes know how insulin works, but I haven't judged her on her qualifications or discussed it with her.
Right. But just as kind of a generic matter, somebody that's a pharmacist and an insulin specialist would certainly be well acquainted with insulin and how it affects the human body.
Correct. If those first two statements are true, then the conclusion would be that he or she should know how insulin works.
Right. Doctor, you've been presented with a bunch of new information today. Has any of that caused you to change or alter your opinion?
No, it has not.
Thank you, Doctor.
Redirect Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you. Dr. Banerjee, since the prosecutor has brought it up about other cases, what famous cases have you worked on before?
I don't know what's famous per se, but
Well known,
Well,
lot
you
of
get-
notoriety, a lot
I
of
mean-
press coverage.
yeah, it's hard for me to distinguish in the sense that some of them I consult on and some of them I cover as an expert in the media. Personally, I feel very proud. I know I worked on Breonna Taylor's case for the civil suit.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
could you
Breonna
please speak
Taylor.
up a
She was
little
a
bit?
she was a
Okay,
shooting
closer.
victim. So that was an important interpretation. I worked with an attorney on that case.
Mhm.
I don't want to say more about it, but I cover, so my work as an assistant medical examiner was dealing with deaths within the state of Rhode Island. One of my cases was made into a forensic files that I was interviewed for, and it's also an A&E show. So I don't know if that's famous, but it's been on TV. My specific work on those cases.
I take oxycodone every day. Every single day. Yeah, no. I've hurt my groin. Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yeah, it's been shitty. Shitty the last couple. Stress brings it on. So, well, doesn't help.
It was solving actually a very decomposed person solving that murder. So that's one way.
Yeah,
I guess
no,
you can say
we did.
famous. I work
Definitely
on a
did.
litany of cases, and it was asked how I was contacted. It's whoever decides to contact me, and then
Don't be
I
sorry,
also
straight
do
up.
commentary or
Nothing you
whatnot,
can
and I'm
do.
presented with I would say, more known information where I'm not the primary autopsy pathologist, and in everything in between. Right, when I do legal consulting, I'm given privileged information, right? So I say retained, meaning that I'm allowed to work with the attorneys and get medical records or private information and then give my opinion on the case.
Okay. Now the prosecutor went to great lengths to talk about insulin as a perfect murder weapon, unquote.
Definitely
Was
his
it-
words, not mine. Yes.
I'm going to clarify.
Okay.
Now, insulin is not a
Yeah.
perfect murder weapon because it can be detected when someone's admitted to the hospital, right? There are tests to detect it then, right?
Tests exist. They can be done.
Right. And even
Exactly.
after death, post-mortem, there are tests to test for insulin in the tissues, in the fluids, et cetera, right?
It's possible. Yes, the body has to be much more intact, so it'd be soon after death, but it can be done.
Right. Would, if you were told that Michael Cochran's body was not cremated, wouldn't any signs of insulin that you could trace or find out about post-mortem be destroyed by cremation?
I mean, the whole body is destroyed with cremation, so that's
Right. And,
a very
And-
one-directional process, if you will.
okay. And if someone was trying to hide a murder by insulin, wouldn't it be wise to cremate the body?
I think that's speculation. I have no opinion on the matter at this point. I mean, cremation
Well, if you're going to hide it, you would, wouldn't
turns
you?
the body into ash. It's a high temperature process.
And you couldn't test that body for anything if it's turned to ash post-mortem. right?
Correct. Correct.
Now, were you aware in the medical records that Michael Cochran had a seizure event in October 31st of 2018 through about the first week or two of November 2018?
I'll believe the dates, but I know it was like the year before. That's where that seizure event happened and where this possible brain mass was suggested.
And that's well documented in the records, isn't it?
That was solely extracted from the records. I just use those facts.
Were you aware that Michael Cochran was subsequently referred to a Dr. Melanie Ward, who prescribed for him anti-seizure medication?
I'm not aware.
If that doctor prescribed anti-seizure medication, that would suggest he had seizures, right?
I know he had that seizure. I don't know about subsequent seizures.
Then there was talk about Michael Cochran's blood glucose level being 21 when he arrived at the emergency room in the hospital. If that occurred, if his blood glucose level was 21 when he gets to the emergency room, they treat that, don't they? They try and raise the blood glucose level by administering glucagon or dextrose or D50, right?
So I'm not an emergency room provider, but in him, he got a vial of D50, which is high concentration dextrose solution to try to give him a dose of sugar, a high dose of sugar.
And D50 does normally raise the blood glucose levels, right?
Yes, it's supposed to. Yes.
Now, perhaps Dr. Dragovich would have better addressed this question, but if someone has a head injury, like is alleged in this matter, fall, hit their head on the counter, pass out, fall on the floor, you don't always have an external sign on the head of any kind of concussion, right? And I'll give you an example. There are many examples of like football players who sustain a concussion while playing. There's no external signs of it. And later on, it surfaces that they indeed had a concussion that causes brain problems. You aware of that?
I don't feel comfortable commenting on that. I can talk to you about postmortem diagnosis of what I've seen in brains with and without a concussion history, about the clinical presentation of.
I have a suppressed immune system, and I take steroids. I have to. I was actually just looking that drug up, but I can't. I know it's a an antidepressant-based serotonin, but I can't actually see what drug it is because I take a similar one at night. It's called amitriptyline. Yes, yes. I just looked it up too. Oh, I need that. I don't have trouble sleeping. I have trouble staying awake.
Of concussion. I don't diagnose concussion. I do watch a lot of football.
Yeah.
So
And you're a Buffalo Bills fan, right?
no,
No.
I'm a Ravens fan.
Oh, okay.
That's on the record. And so I'm very sad about the Super Bowl. Nonetheless,
It depends on the dosage.
sorry.
Certain
I'm
dosages
actually watching,
levels,
but yeah.
certain dosage levels treat one thing, and they've found that at a higher dose it treats another. So what you were taking prednisolone as well, Anna? What immune suppressant do you take? Is it methotrexate and what for? Have I asked you that before? I can't remember.
Yes. Where was I? I don't clinically make any assessment of concussions. If it's noted in the history, just like if a seizure is noted in the history, that would be a significant history. But a concussion brain, even at autopsy, can look completely normal, which is always something that surprised me because it can be a significant impact leading, that the person sustained previously. And there can be microscopic signs, again, getting into wider diagnosis and issues. But nothing is also always present or always absent. So nothing in medicine is 100%.
What? Which arthritis? Is it rheumatoid or? You normally get up early, don't you? I'm not a morning person, not with arthritis. That's why I stream at night. Takes me all day to get going. We're nearly done here.
Your chart, that by the way is still on the viewer.
Oh, it is. Well, partially, yes.
Those numbers are strictly from medical records that you reviewed. Is that right?
So I want to do one thing. So the date, the glucose were extracted data points. Okay. I used a time calculator to then calculate the interval. So it's not like the medical records had that time since 12 o'clock. And then I did an interpretation based on the medically available activity of this pro to say whether it would have been based on that time calculation, whether it would have been in the body. That's exactly how that chart was formed.
But what I'm getting at is you weren't provided emails. You don't know about statements of other people, blood glucose levels at various times during the day, unless they were documented in medical records.
Correct. I showed you the sources and I told you the sources of which I relied on.
I know what you're talking about.
A moment.
No idea.
All right.
Yeah. We're everywhere.
Now, Michael Cochran was definitely diagnosed with an enlarged heart, and he had that condition, which is well documented. Isn't that correct?
I think there was suggestion of it in the medical records. It's well documented at autopsy. That's the most important finding.
Okay. Now, wouldn't an enlarged heart on autopsy support the proposition that Michael had high blood pressure?
So it's not necessarily a diagnosis of hypertension, which is what we in lay terms call high blood pressure. I think that is like a genetic disease, which runs in my family as well, and many families, and is a common ailment. However, if you use medicines that relatively raise blood pressure and use them for a long time, they can have the same effect on the heart as having high blood pressure. Does that make sense? It's not high blood pressure in the hypertension diagnosis sense. It's a sequela of using a stimulant like the pseudoephedrine, which is a stimulant, and that acts to tighten the blood vessels, which then would raise your blood pressure. So if you do that long enough, that could cause that enlargement of the heart.
Okay. Now, if someone like Michael Cochran had high blood pressure, but they were attempting to hide it from their doctors.
Wait a minute. This is way out.
Yeah.
Sustain.
Okay.
Fuck's sake. You're an idiot.
you have no concept of the geography in and around Beckley, correct?
No, sir. I walked half a block at lunch. That's about it.
So if
What's that got to
the
do with anything?
address of Michael and Natalie Cochran were on 4H Lake Road and it's only 7 miles to Raleigh General Hospital, would you accept the prosecutor's proposition that it took
No.
30 minutes to get there?
I
Does that
have,
sound reasonable?
I have no way to say
Okay.
one way or the other.
All right.
Mhm.
I don't have anything else, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, any further questions, Mr. Truman?
The defense brought up about Dr. Dragovich, and the two of you seem to be a little bit apart on this. He indicated that cancerous tumors are tougher, for lack of a better word. You were here, you heard what he
Oh,
said.
yes, yes.
There was never a finding of a pancreatic tumor, was there?
So let me break that down in 2 parts. One is there in the medical records, there was no documentation, okay? In the autopsy, you could see by the condition of the body that even at the first autopsy that I'm saying, the pancreas does something called autolysis. It eats itself due to the enzymes. And even with which is sort of like dissolving it with acid, if you will, right? It like sort of disintegrates. And so even a tougher tumor, which I don't know that information, he offered that, but now to comment on that, it would still be susceptible to complete degradation by the time the first autopsy was done.
I guess the answer to my question is no. There was never a pancreatic tumor found in Michael Cochran.
So I can't agree to that because,
There was one found?
please let me explain.
Sure.
Okay, that's what I'm here to do. One is in the medical records, there wasn't, okay? I think a decomposed body, you cannot conclude whether one was or was not there. That is a limitation. So, right, it is handicapped. So I cannot accurately say if the organ's not there or so in poor shape to evaluate, I'm limited by that to say whether a tumor had been there.
That's not what I'm asking. The question is, there was no tumor found in his pancreas, was there? Not
By who? By who?
Kubitschek.
Dr. Kubitschek did not find one.
Okay. Do forensic pathologists rely solely on what they find in the dead body?
No.
They
So if I can explain that,
Sure.
yeah, that we don't practice in a black box, okay? But I think, again, the autopsy is a gold standard. That is the collection of data that's collecting as much evidence, and we have a unique perspective, right? No one else is doing the dissection or collecting that data, like where Dr. Krieger is not qualified to comment on cause and manner of death. With that being said, you still take the investigation into, or the circumstances surrounding death into play. But there are so many unknowns here that undetermined cause and manner are appropriate.
Right. Would an enlarged heart in and of itself cause hypoglycemia?
No, but if he has an arrhythmia and then starts getting dysregulated, he could have hypoglycemia.
And that would just happen within minutes, hours?
I couldn't say.
Okay.
Tanya heard, well, maybe saw him somewhere else, apparently.
And would an enlarged heart
No, it
cause a
wasn't.
blood glucose level of 21?
Again, it's not a direct cause. If he becomes dysregulated, his body shutting down, that could happen.
And that would take how long?
I don't know. We're all different.
Okay. Doctor, thank you. That's all
Yes.
the questions the state has.
Anything, Mr. Selvin?
Very shortly. Doctor, the
Yeah.
pancreas, which is responsible for insulin production in the body, is an internal organ of the body, right?
One of the major organs
Okay.
that I look at in every case. Yes, everywhere. We all have one.
And isn't it true when the body begins to decompose after death,
Yes.
that the internal organs, like the pancreas, are the first to decompose,
Fucking ass.
So-
as opposed
Oh my
to
God.
the skin,
Okay.
the hair, the bones?
So everything starts decomposing, some at different, like faster faster rates than others. I mean, if you look at everything at the microscopic level, once the person is deceased, not getting oxygen, everything is disintegrating. We're no longer living. We're not getting the nourishment. Okay. But I would say the GI tract, meaning your like the tube the stomach, your esophagus, stomach, pancreas, etc., gallbladder. Those are very sensitive organs full of enzymes and bacteria that normally live there and are contained, but upon death are released or penetrate through to first decompose these structures. And they're very susceptible to decomposition.
Okay. And after a body has been decomposing after death, and it's 7 months before an autopsy is done, you could not tell whether there were microscopic pancreatic tumors because of the state of decomposition. Isn't that true?
This was a moderate state of decomposition with insect activity, which would limit analysis of all organs, especially the pancreas.
No further questions.
Anything, Mr. Truman?
That's for the fun state, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. You may step down. You are excused. Come up, please.
All right. 1 sec. What was her name? I can't remember. Let's see.
Members of the jury, we've gone a little bit late today. We wanted to get that witness in, certainly, and this is a good stopping point. I have to deal with the attorneys concerning some legal matters that would be boring to you folks, and so I will deal with them in the morning. Rather than have you sitting in your jury room and wasting time cooling your heels, I'm going to ask you to come in at 10 o'clock in the morning. I hate to vary the time because when doctors change my appointments, I usually screw up and don't go in at the right time. But this will give you some additional time to sleep in a little bit and to rest up a little bit.
Yeah, they're doing
and don't.
they're doing jury instructions right now. Da-da-da. Exciting stuff.
Take out the line, you must not discuss or consider punishment or permit any speculation concerning punishment to influence your verdict in this case.
Of course, there is this involuntary manslaughter, which, by the way, I don't think that the jury would.
Yes, I was looking at that.
decide whether it's a felony or a misdemeanor, but
I don't think we should tell them that.
right. And
I'm going to remove this line.
but that line is superfluous in murder case.
Okay, anything else on page 20?
That's for the state, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
21.
No?
No, Your Honor. Will
Oh.
Will the court advise the jury on the selection of the foreperson?
Oh,
or
yes.
it's done later?
Sure.
Okay.
Now I'm going to have my trustee law clerk Colleen redo this, and I need some help,
Such a redneck.
especially from you, Mr. Victor, because some of the instructions you read into the record from a book or from rote, and she will ask me what I want in there, and I wasn't able to write down everything that was pertinent.
I'm at the court's disposal.
Okay. All right, I'm going to revamp this and we'll get ready for the jury. Hopefully they'll arrive at 10 o'clock as instructed and we can
There's half an hour.
go forward.
I might show you.
In terms of the
little bit of a-
schedule, and again, I don't want anybody to necessarily tip their hand, but
I might show you a little bit of a overall summary on the next trial that we're going to start. Or it's not a trial, it's actually the full preliminary hearing. There's 4 days of it. It's out of Detroit, Michigan. And it is about It's awful. It's awful. Naziah Harris was 11 at the time, and was apparently having an adult relationship with her uncle. And at 13, she fell pregnant, and I'll move that off. Yeah. At 13, she fell pregnant at school. Well, she fell pregnant, and at school, she was having these text messages with the uncle, the other of the baby. And apparently her mother was a drug addict, and she was living with her grandmother. And she normally caught the school bus home, and this particular day she didn't. And it was discovered that the uncle, his name is Jarvis Butts, they had arranged for him to pick her up from school that day. And he had been Googling home abortions. And she was picked up by him and never seen again. And the grandmother, 12, 13, did not report it until the following day that she didn't come home. So it's horrible. It's confronting, and apparently there's no holds barred. They tell everything in the text messages. She's never been found, but he's up for first degree unaliving. So I did the first day of the hearing. I did a bit of a summary overview of what it is. So, and it's not one that's been picked up by the big, by Court TV or Law and Order, Law and Crime. Oh, yeah.
Jones stands accused of serious charges, including torture and unlawful imprisonment. These allegations cast a heavy shadow over his future, as the legal system's wheels turn slowly, but with purpose. As we look ahead, the preliminary examinations for both defendants are scheduled for the end of January. This crucial time allows all parties the necessary space to gather evidence and prepare their defenses, emphasizing the importance of thoroughness in the judicial process. Jarvis Butts faces grave charges, including first-degree murder and child sexual abuse. The atmosphere within the courtroom is thick with tension, as heartfelt testimonies bring these serious accusations to light. On February 7, 2024, a witness drove Mr. Butts to court, where he was meant to turn himself in. Their conversation revealed a sense of concern as inquiries about his cell phone arose, which he hastily claimed to have left back at home. The witness described Mr. Butts as being overly protective of his phone, seemingly shielding it from her reach. She couldn't shake the feeling that his secretive behavior hinted at infidelity, a suspicion that weighed heavily on her heart. Despite her doubts regarding Mr. Butts' loyalty, the witness found herself drawn to the relationship, captivated by his affectionate interactions with her children. He took the time to teach them car maintenance, creating cherished moments that intertwined their lives. Among the items found during the investigation was a small pink onesie paired with a tiny Nike shoe, a heartbreaking reminder that a child might be at the center of these troubling events. This discovery was immediately reported to Incident Command for careful examination. The search operation spanned approximately half a mile, with dedicated teams assigned to different areas, striving for the utmost efficiency. The recent high water levels brought additional challenges, prompting the teams to adapt their strategies accordingly. In their determined pursuit of truth, Search teams coordinated their efforts, meticulously covering riverbanks and surrounding territories. They employed a range of advanced technologies, ensuring no piece of evidence was missed in this vital search. The significance of specialized training in forensic analysis cannot be overstated, with analysts receiving over 450 hours of instruction. This includes essential training in T-Mobile and PenLink, empowering them to unravel details hidden within call detail records. Call detail records reveal a wealth of information, detailing dates, times, and locations connected to phone numbers. Understanding this data is crucial, as it lays the groundwork for creating accurate maps that trace a phone's journey. Mapping involves sophisticated software like PenLink, transforming raw data into clear visuals. This technology enables law enforcement to see the location information, illuminating paths that might otherwise remain hidden. Real-time timing advance, or RTT, is a remarkable tool utilized by T-Mobile, allowing the tracking of historical location data without any user involvement. This passive capture of device interactions with the network opens new avenues for investigation. The analysis spans an important timeline from January 9th at 10:53 p.m. until January 10th at 1:11 a.m., revealing significant phone activity around 2 key locations. This includes crucial interactions with various cell towers that could shed light on the case. Maps generated during the analysis pinpoint specific areas where the phone connected with towers, notably at the Park Crest Motel among other locations. The movement illustrated on these maps suggests a purposeful journey from one site to another. Cell site location information provides invaluable context for examining phone data during investigations. The geographic coordinates of cell towers serve as a cornerstone for understanding the locations linked to phone activity. Several factors can influence signal strength, including the distance from the tower, its height, and environmental obstacles. These variables may complicate the accuracy of the location data derived from call records, adding a layer of complexity to the investigation. When multiple carriers share the same cell tower, it can muddle the determination of which carrier's signal is strongest in specific regions. This intersection of technology and human factors plays a critical role in investigations. The need for accurate subscriber information emerges as a vital element, offering insights essential for legal and investigative endeavors. The consequences of this information can significantly shape the outcomes of cases, reinforcing its importance. Beyond the technical details, the physical address associated with the call detail records stands as a key piece of evidence. It helps weave connections between individuals and locations, providing a clearer picture of the unfolding story. In a poignant moment, the mention of donuts infuses a lighthearted touch into the serious discourse. These small snippets of humor can serve to ease the tension during stressful investigative discussions. Smith recounted how she noticed the ID lying on the ground for 2.5.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to put my one on, which I knocked up this morning. Where? Oh, I haven't listened to it yet either, so just downloaded it now. Let's see if I can. Hopefully, it's all right. She's just divine. She's just beautiful.
A preliminary examination was held on January 6th.
Remove myself. Okay. Hopefully this is all right.
(2025) to determine if there's enough evidence for Jarvis Butts to stand trial in the suspected murder of Naziah, even though she has never been found. On January 9, 2024, 13-year-old Naziah Harris got off the school bus in the area of Cornwall Street in 3 Mile, which is near the intersection of Warren Avenue and Outer Drive on Detroit's east side. She was never seen again. Naziah's grandmother said she started getting concerned when she learned she didn't get home that night, but she waited until the morning of January 10th to report her missing to authorities. On the same day Naziah went missing, Jarvis Butts was scheduled to turn himself to authorities on a gun charge. However, this was pushed back to February. The court hearing lasted days, and the judge determined there was enough evidence for the Detroit man to stand trial.
This is the preliminary hearing, and it's exactly 12 months to the day, pretty much, since she went missing.
Why Jarvis Butts was charged. Before getting into details of what happened in court, here's what we know about why Butts was charged. Prosecutors said Butts was supposed to turn himself into authorities on a gun charge on January 9, 2024, the day Naziah went missing, but that date was pushed back to February. Harris allegedly met up with Butts that
Look how
day,
beautiful she
and
is.
the two reportedly went to Ypsilanti before returning back to Detroit, where Butts checked into a motel. Butts knew Harris was pregnant and that he began searching online about abortions, abortion pills, and drinking red antifreeze. Authorities believe Butts had been sexually abusing Harris since 2022 before killing her in January 2024. Prosecutors said he had a history of targeting and befriending women to get close to and sexually abuse their daughters. It's not the only sexual abuse case Butts is involved with. He also has been charged for reportedly sexually abusing 2 other young girls, as well as a conviction for sexual assault in 2005. Prosecutors called Butts a serial child rapist who sexually assaulted an 8-year-old family member and a girlfriend's 4-year-old daughter, who reportedly caught chlamydia from the assault.
It's fucking up. Now apparently, I'm not sure how the family dynamic works, but he's uncle to a lot. And unfortunately, because it's in where it is at Detroit, Michigan, and heavily African American what do you call it? State? I don't know. That's why it hasn't really been picked up by the big. It might do when it goes to trial, but the preliminary hearing, the stuff that was in the preliminary hearing a lot of it won't come into trial because it's so bad, apparently. So there's 4 days of it, but I think they're about 5 hours each day. So that's the next one we're covering. And I still haven't seen the Colin Griffith one come up on, because they were in jury selection yesterday. I haven't seen it thumbnail come up yet. So yeah, as soon as they go into deliberations, we'll start the Naziah and wait. Yeah, apparently the theory goes that the home remedy abortion possibly caused her to bleed out. Just horrible. Oh, and he has fathered many children in that community, apparently. Yeah, she was 11 when it started. 11. Just an absolute predator. Disgraceful. Yeah, yep. That's right. Yep. So she deserves a voice just as much as everyone else, if not more. Now, the jury are out there on a break until 10 in the Harris case. Now, Mr. Udaher, for you here, Mr. Discord extraordinaire, do you know how to set up the ping bot or ping cord? I've managed to set it so that it's connected to, my YouTube channel. And I've created the channels for the podcast and the Tandem True Crime and for Tan's channel, so they're all connected. But every time I post or upload a video or a live stream, it pings into all 4. So it comes into the Discord channel 4 times in 4 different places, and I don't know how to separate it. I'd like for the record. Oh, okay. You lulled me into a false sense of security, you. Well, I managed to get them all there, so they're connected. It's just that, yeah, every trial goes into, I'd like to be able to separate the playlist when I go live on the podcast to go into the podcast folder on Discord, and same with the Tandem True Crimes on Tuesdays, and then any of Tan's channel go into her folder. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. Well, how about we have a little bit of a play with Discord while we're here, eh? Because this is the whole point. The whole point of this is to get used to it and use it as a tool to entertain us when court's on break. So let me see if I can share it. Share screen. All right, so I share it as a window. Does that mean I don't get sound? Do I or don't I? Not sure. All right, so this is us. So as you can see, today's post is in, so we'll start at the top, all right? So I've organised the welcome so that whenever someone comes in, they get sent, oh look, there's Elizabeth. They get sent a welcome message. They have to agree to the rules before they're allowed into the site. And then we have just the basics, all right? So you've got information, which I'm going to put, all the links to all of the stuff. So the podcast, the merch, the memberships, the everything. If you're looking for anything. Upcoming projects, that's where I'll be posting things like the, the updates that I'm doing, what's coming soon. There's an announcement there that, if I want to get hold of anyone or everyone in the channel, that's where it will come up. I tested it out the other day because Steve has joined us. And then we have all these live streams, which is perfect. Every live stream gets directly uploaded onto here as I load it. I need to create another one for the completed trial, so that I've got an archive of playlists. And under that is a member's suggestion. So if you find any trials on your way, that's Tanya's, anything that interests you, chuck it in there so that we can have a look at it. Then there's all your chat channels. Now you've all been allocated a certain oh, they're coming into the, okay, cool. Yeah, all the chat channels in here, you've been allocated your roles. So if you can't access one, then you won't be able, you haven't been given that level of access. Funny images, you can upload any of your pictures and stuff if you want to. This is where I'm trying to tag Mandy. She wants to put her stuff in there, and Grandma. Anyone's stories, knock yourselves out. Then I've got the podcast channel, but you see all the every post that I do comes in here, and I need to try and section them out. Ah, yes, Pug's in. Just waiting for Cup God. And then there is Tandem True Crimes. So I need to add a chat channel and a document channel to both of those so that you can discuss each one of the episodes afterwards. Then there's Tan's After the Facts. So all of her, I've linked her YouTube channel to there. They'll go in there. And then we have our games. And I'm not sure if I've put the right, I've made the right category for them, because some of them need video, some of them need audio, some of them don't. So this one, I think, should have most of them in it. So you've got a quiz game, you've got the colouring that Tan loves, you've got poker, which I need to try and allocate. Need to try and allocate Tan. That's her little project. There's Truth or Dare. There's heaps and heaps of different ones I can put in here for us to play with. Then I'm going to upload all of my AI songs that I've made. Pet pics. So feel free. And I don't know if this works, but apparently I can have a voice chat with anyone here, apparently. So I don't know. And then the last one, I've tried to make it so it's where we go to watch movies together. Apparently, it's an audio channel. And then we've got the staff chat. Like that. Pug and Cup have created their own little private voice chat. Now these ones down here, oh, you can't see them because I'm covering it. Oh, stupid thing. Why does it always revert to 2? Stop it. Yeah, the ones down here, I was thinking we might, you know how we've got the level of memberships, I was thinking we could have each one of these as your chat channels for each level of membership. I don't know. Any suggestions on what we could do with that? Who's connected on a voice chat with me? Who's doing that? Oh, I dumped these in here because I didn't know where to put them. Oh, staff voice chat. Aha, I think I've just been invited. I have, I think. Hello? Hello? I'm on live. Can they hear me? Hello? Can they hear me or hear you? How do we get them to hear? Like, is this going to help? I know, I need to. Yeah. Hence my message. Yes. Yep. I don't know how to separate them. I've managed to connect them from YouTube, but there's certain, like, because on YouTube I run a podcast and the Tuesday night stream with Tanya, I need to separate them. So I need to try and get that ping from the same channel, but into a different channel on Discord. So picking up only one point of that. Does that make sense? Yes, at the moment, it's every stream I do is picking it up 4 times and putting it into every one. That's why, because I haven't specified it. That's what it's doing. Yep. Yep. It's in the For the Record podcast is connected. The Tandem True Crime channel is connected. The After the Facts is connected, and the Defense Rests live stream. All 4. Yep. Can everyone else hear? Yeah. Can I share it on the bottom for people? Open soundboard. Open soundboard. Share your screen. Ooh. How are you doing that? Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. No, I get it. But it's hard for me to explain what I needed. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I said to you, yeah, yeah. Yes, that's right. Yes, yep, correct. Yep. So I thought that once I'd set them all up, then we could just go through them and allocate the roles and the permissions and have it set and done. Does that make sense? Yeah, but while I've only got a few, I didn't know what I wanted until I was looking at it. So, yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good. That's fine. It's all good. And yeah, as I said, it was difficult for me to try and explain how I wanted all that sort of set up. Does that make sense? Yeah. So yeah, more than happy to go through it all. But I just can't. I can't do it right today because I'm in the middle of a trial. That's all. It's pinging them to all 4 channels. Yeah, that's Tanya's. Yep. I've linked her YouTube channel because I've paid for the premium. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yep. 4 times. Yes. Yep. Oh, different YouTube channel, you mean? So you can't hook it to a playlist that I've separated in my YouTube channel? Bugger. Yeah. Yeah. So I knew what I did and I knew what I've done. I understood what I've done then and what was happening. I just couldn't work out how to change it. And obviously I can't. Yep. I have an actual podcast. It's in my podcast heading. Can you pick that up? Well, maybe, can I set the podcast as a premiere then? It's just a setting on yeah. If I allocate all the podcasts to a premiere, that would separate it, wouldn't it? Because I stream from EV Max on that. Oh, I could link it to the EV Max because I stream directly from EV Max. It's a completely different server, which is OBS based. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's just an advertising thing I did, yeah, because I want to try and it's a challenge to get 300 subs in 30 days. Okay. All right. So if it's got the title podcast in it or for the record in it, sweet. Where are you? Yep. Well, after the fact should be easy because that's a different YouTube channel, but I'm still pinging it into hers from mine. Yeah, so yeah, I've set it up. Look how clever I am.
Motion detected in the front yard.
That after the facts is a different one, so I've linked it already. That's Tanya's, but it's still picking up mine as well and putting it in there from the defence rests. The Tandem True Crime is a joint dual stream that Tanya and I do together. So, because I copied it, I just It's just pasted it in there. And I pretty much duplicated that channel settings. So, yep. 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 Yeah. Because how many other channels have multiple things on their channel that they want to put into different streamers? Maybe not, but tubers definitely have their live stream and a podcast. A lot of them. Yeah, the whole idea of me setting up Discord was that it was to automate. But what I can do is, as I said, the podcast I do with someone else on another YouTube channel, we could link his. No, that's me and Tanya. Yep. It's Justice is a Process. He's one of our he's a member. His name's Steve Askin. But then he hasn't got it set up. It would ping everything that he has. Justice is a Process. That's it. That's him. But that's going to ping everything he does, isn't it? Yeah, no. Unless you go into his playlist and pick up the podcast from there. But we don't stream it from YouTube. From StreamYard. We stream it from EV Mux. Yeah. It's not StreamYard though. It's different software. So I just need to hook that up. Yep. Yeah. So I can separate it then. Yep. I tried that. It takes me around in circles. What's the notify? Can I put it under a notify app or what? Instead of pin code. Because I'm going to run into the same problem, because if I'm uploading different trials, I need to set up an archive file as well of the completed trials. I know you could select a certain time frame that it would pick up with this bot, because we only do it every second Saturday. So maybe, I'd say with Tanya, we only do it every Tuesday. So they'll all be called Tandem True Crime. But it'll be, a dual stream between the two of us on Tuesdays. I know. All right, sweet. Thank you. Just keep the Defense Rest live stream on up. Yep. Perfect. Done. Thank you. I'm not that silly then, am I? Oh. All right. Yeah. I couldn't work it out. I was doing my head in. All right. Thank you. Bye. Will do. Bye. Sorry, guys. I didn't know they were going to do that. All right. They're going to set it all up. So it's going to be, yay, beautiful. Okay. Now, let's get back to the case. Minimize. Oh, they're still on a break. Really? The fuck? Right. Yeah, now go to bed. So could you guys hear any of that at all? Or did I do a I did another tie. They're 20 minutes late. And I've already got to have a wee. That would be so good if if we can get all of those things to automatically go into their right channel on Discord without me having to allocate them. I was actually thinking of creating an Excel spreadsheet and as an archive, and like saving the link for each playlist into an Excel spreadsheet on my Google Drive, and that would save space on my computer. It would clear up my playlists on YouTube, and it would make them accessible. We could have like a shared Google Drive that we can both draw down from. Okay, so I can right mouse click and save that link into an Excel spreadsheet, can't I? Oh, sorry, add a Google sheet. Google sheet. You made trivia and lost. Who did you play with? Yeah, I reckon that's a great idea. If we have a spreadsheet that has it's like a backup plan as well. So if anything happens to the YouTube channel, I've got every video, every trial set and saved in the cloud. Okay, cool. Did you allocate yourself as the manager, the admin? Have I muted this site? No. All right. So who have we still got in here? There's 4. We've got Miss Teresa. Is Anna still here? Hello, Helen. Hello. How are you? That's all right, darling. That's all right. Good luck to you. Yeah. You do with it what you will. That's your little pet project, my darling. Yay. So, where's Elizabeth? She can't be sleeping all of this time, surely. Stupid cord. See, this is why we have Discord. So we can all do shit together. All right, I have to go and have a wee. We're not doing that together. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, that's right. You're in Australia too, aren't you? Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. I've pretty much worked night shift for the last 6 months. So, yeah, I don't. It's a pain in the ass because by the time I get the cats fed and get myself sorted and wound down from a stream, it's probably 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'll sleep till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and with arthritis, it takes me at least a couple of hours to get going. So then it's 5 and I've got nothing done because it's after 5 and nothing's open. So yeah. Yes, Ty is fine. He's good. All right, got to wee. The court is on. There is no sound at court yet. Be right back. Bathroom. Can I spell bathroom? Yes. Just chat amongst yourselves.
Have handed out. Hopefully, Mr. Truman, you've got a copy there. Okay,
Yes, sir.
I'm not rushing you. We'll have some time to discuss it. I just want to make sure you got your copy.
I did. Yes, sir.
All right. Any matters to take up at this time before we bring out the jury and continue?
Steve
Your
will need
Honor.
the equipment for the next witness.
Okay. We'll fire that up.
I will carry it. You go with, yeah, and I will carry it.
All right. All right, now, Mr. Truman, if you'd take some time to select the documents that you wish to present.
Handing them to defense counsel as we speak. I'll take these back. Oh.
That's better. Whew. My eyeballs were floating. They're waiting for the jury, I think, or the judge, one of the two. Ah. Yes. Yes, it is. I don't think anything else has changed, though. That's the only thing, Tricia. Oh, what's that? What's cowboy candy? What's cowboy candy? Oh, you're so clever. I used to love doing all that stuff. I used to grow my own tomatoes, make my relish. I've got one tomato in this year, and that's only because it just came up. So there must have been a seed left in there. And would you believe it is the best plant? It's a truss cherry, and it is just, it's gone ballistic. There's only one in the raised bed. That's it. Pepper jelly. What the hell is that? I have to Google it, aren't I? It has been a merry-go-round. Pepper jelly. What is?
Sure.
I couldn't organise a piece up in a brewery this lot. Pepper jelly. Made with hot peppers. It's a preserve, sugar, salt, and vinegar. Product which rose in popularity in the US. It's a piquant mix of sweetness and heat and is used for meats and as an ingredient in various food preparations. It can be used in sandwiches, served on cream cheese with, oh, yum. Oh, oh. Now I want cream cheese. Jelly. So what else did you call it? Cowboy candy? I like quince paste. Cowboy candy. Oh, it's jalapenos, sweet and tangy. I don't like I like chilies, jalapenos. No, it's the only one I don't like. Never have. Cowboy candy started in 1922 at WHH Ranch. Yep, over 100 years. While their cowboy candy recipe is
All right.
unparalleled. Oh, it's like just pickled, almost pickled jalapenos, pickled chilies. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, no. You can keep your jalapenos. You would like the there's a beautiful, the Thai do an amazing sauce, and they use the basics. You know, they have their salty, sweet, sour, and bitter, I think, and they mix all those in with chili, and it's delicious. Yeah, yeah, our jelly is their jello. It looks nothing like jelly. I'll see if I can show you a picture. Why didn't that bring up my last search? There you go. You see that? That's pepper jelly. That one there looks like the Thai version. They have it on every table in Thailand. Oh, that looks delicious. Oh, as long as it's not made with jalapenos, that's fine. But yeah, this is a condiment they have in Thailand. And it's hot. Hot jambalaya. Oh, it looks like fish eggs. I don't mind. I've got a really nice recipe, actually. Actually, it sounds terrible, but if you like smoked oysters, you know, the smoked oysters from a tin, and the cream cheese. So you put a whole tub of smoked oysters in oil, mash them up with a fork. Not too much, but enough to break it up. And then you add a whole tub, you know, the little round tubs of cream cheese, soft cream cheese. Have one of those, and you mix that together with a bit of pepper and about 2 tablespoons of gherkin relish. And oh, it's delicious. You will not, you don't tell any, it looks terrible. Don't tell anyone what's in it. But I've not had one person say they don't like it. Because I love smoked oysters. I love them. Ghost peppers. Are they 3D printed? I love smoked oysters. That's probably the only seafood I really, really love. Carolina Reapers. Oh, what the fuck are they doing? It's nearly 3 a.m. and they haven't even started for the fucking day. Did you like my 330 challenge. I've got to try and get 300 subs before March. My niece's painted pieces. What? You showed them to me. I don't recall. My bad. Oh, you for real? This is frustrating. All right, let me check and see if that other trial has popped up yet. It might be an afternoon session start. Socialite manslaughter trial preview. Penelope McGee. What's that? Shall we have a squiz at that? Did you? I can't remember, Tan. My bad. I'm sorry. You know, it wasn't a good day for me. All right, this has just popped up. Let's have a look and see what this is about.
Another trial in a final pretrial hearing, which was held earlier this morning for a defendant by the name of Penny McGee.
Yeah, she made a big decision today. She's facing manslaughter charges in the death of her ex-husband, Andrew Savitz. And at that hearing, the judge heard motions from the Commonwealth and defense to exclude certain testimony, including statements that McGee made to police in the hours after her arrest. Her manslaughter trial is expected to begin tomorrow, and she decided that it is a bench trial, meaning the judge is going to decide her fate. So let's take a closer look back at how we got here in this case.
Where's Ada Hef? She's a hottie. She's a hottie. She's a hottie. She's a hottie. Yeah, has Helen got our Discord link? Hang on, Helen. Let me get it for you. I'll put it in chat. Oh, get out of it. Get out. Oh shit, wrong one. Fuck. I don't know if I can get back in. There. Invite. Copy the link. Here we go. And paste. Come on. There you go. There he is. He never fails. Why isn't that posting? The fuck? Thank you. Oh, yeah, yep.
Prominent Massachusetts mother, Penelope Penny McGee, is facing manslaughter charges in the death of her ex-husband, Andrew Savitz, 5 years ago. Savitz made a name for himself during the 1988 presidential campaign of former Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis and worked as an environmental consultant. He was also the author of a sustainability book for business, The Triple Bottom Line. Court documents say McGee went to her ex's home after 10 p.m. on January 28th of 2020. McGee was reportedly upset by an email she got from her ex-husband's brother, evicting her from the home she'd been living in for years. She told police Savitz attacked her. But the couple's 18-year-old daughter heard the commotion and heard her father asking McGee to leave. That's when the daughter called 911, and while on the phone, she saw her mother slapping and pushing Savitz and him falling to the floor. The autopsy concluded that Savitz, who did have health issues, died from cardiac dysrhythmia following an altercation.
What kind of
Interesting.
cardiac
This is a case
dysrhythmia?
with, there's not a lot there. This is gonna be no matter what, this is gonna be an interesting case. Let's watch a little bit because we're still waiting for West Virginia to get up and running. A little bit of this morning where Penny McGee says, "I don't want a jury. Judge, you're the one that's going to decide my fate." Let's watch.
Ms. McGee, please stand, please. So I see that you have filed a waiver of a jury trial and that we will be going forward on a jury waive trial. So I have to ask you some questions. Could you tell me your full name, please?
Is that Bev?
McGee. How old are you, Miss McGee? I'm 58 years old. How far have you gone in
Is that Bev?
school? Graduate degree. In the last 24 hours, have you had any drugs or alcohol that might affect your judgment here today? No, Your Honor. Are you aware of any mental illness that you might have or that you've suffered from in the past?
It is, isn't it?
Yes. Do you have a diagnosis? Major depressive disorder. Okay, do you take medication for that disorder? Yes, I do.
It is.
When was the last time that
Oh,
you
we
took
have
that
to watch this
medication?
one. Sorry.
This morning. Does the fact that you took that medication make it a little bit easier for you to deal with what's going on here today? Yes, it does. Does that medication prohibit your ability to understand and appreciate everything that's going on? Or are you able to fully understand what's going on here today? Yes, Your Honor, I'm able to fully understand. Okay, and you understand that your
Wow.
case is scheduled for a jury trial for tomorrow? Yes, I do, Your Honor. Now, you have a right to have a trial by jury. A jury in this case would be 12 people chosen at random from the community, and with your lawyer, you could help select that jury. You could challenge any 6 witnesses for no reason at all, challenge any juror for good cause, and the burden of proof is on the Commonwealth to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty. And the jury's verdict must be unanimous. Do you understand that? Yes, I do, Your Honor.
She's chosen a bench trial with Judge Bev in Massachusetts.
You also have the right to have a judge hear your case. A judge would listen to the evidence, determine what the facts are, apply the law to those facts to see whether or not the Commonwealth has met that burden. Do you understand that? Yes, I do, Your Honor. You also have a constitutional right of confrontation where during the trial, you or your lawyer could cross-examine the witnesses before you. Do you understand that? Yes, I do, Your Honor. And you have a right not to testify on your own behalf, and the jury or the judge would not be able to hold that against you in any way. Do you understand that? Yes, I do, Your Honor. Now, I'm sure you've discussed your right to trial with Mr. Tipton and all of your constitutional rights, and it's important that you listen to his advice. However, your decision as to whether you try this case with a judge or a jury is entirely your decision. Do you understand that?
What deal?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. And what is your decision? Do you want to try this case with a judge, alone, or a jury? I would like to try my case with a judge only. Okay. All right, thank you. I find that Ms. McGee has knowingly.
Is are you saying that Ponzi is doing a deal? Who's doing a deal? What? I'm confused.
Involuntarily waived her right to a jury trial. Now you can have a seat. Thank you, Your Honor. All right, so that maybe changes a couple of the motions in limine. If you've had some time to work these out, well, first of all, the motion to sequester is allowed.
May I just address that briefly?
Oh, yes, okay.
The Commonwealth would request the victim's family be removed from the sequestration order after they have testified.
Is there an objection to that, Mr. Tipton?
Also, Your Honor, the defense would like his expert to be permitted to watch the medical examiner, Dr. Rebecca Diedrich's testimony, and the Commonwealth would also like Dr. Diedrich to be permitted to watch Dr. Banerjee's testimony.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there any objection to that?
Yes. That's
Okay.
it. So that's paper number 105. And we anticipate calling the family early in the case.
Okay, well,
Wow.
you know, this
Something
case
looks
just
familiar.
got a lot more interesting. Judge Bev Canoni from Karen Reed is going to be deciding this.
It's major.
case,
And not
because
just,
there's no jury.
yeah. I mean, we're seeing a bigger shot of that courtroom. I can't tell if that's the same one that Karen
I
Reed
saw the
was in.
fan.
It is.
I know that they opted in the Karen Reed case to be in a smaller courtroom, so that may not be the exact same one. But yeah, Judge Beverly Canoni herself.
Yeah, I feel like that's the courtroom where they did all the pretrial stuff until the defense wanted the retrial moved.
Mhm.
But wow, we're heading back. We don't have to wait for Karen Reed too. We can. We're going to get a little dose of it coming up here with and it's a fascinating case, this McGee case, for sure.
She'll be handling a manslaughter case, so a little bit of a similarity to actually, especially with the domestic issue of this being between two partners and a question of whether or not it was self-defense. It'd be interesting to see how she rules and how she does without a jury there.
I'm assuming Trooper Proctor wasn't involved in the investigation on this one.
2020
We'll
is when this
find
happened,
out.
not sure.
Wow. All right. Well, that starts tomorrow. Oh, well, hopefully, fingers crossed, they go into deliberations today and we can start it tomorrow. Should not. That's the only one that's really actually interested me for a while. I can't believe they're still on a break. Oh my Lord. Right. Now, how do I get in? Are they still on there? I think they are. Where is? Oh, hello. Did you have a good birthday, my love? Did you? We've been playing Bump in the Night, I think. Or Discord, yeah, whatever. You can put it in the staff chat.
All right. Are we ready for the jury now?
Oh, you think?
State
Oh,
prepared.
Your Honor,
I hate
we're
birthdays.
only halfway
Hate them.
through these documents. A lot of them appear to be unsubstantiated, irrelevant, but we still have to go through about half the documents.
Well, we've
What?
got to go forward. And so I don't want to leave the jury in there much longer.
Mandy, if you go into Discord and message me in whichever, I think I knew which one on Discord it is. Hang on, I'll share the screen. All right. So, oh, hang on. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh dear. Hang on.
Out to the person that just gave us a super chat. This community is just the best. Love you all the different.
All right. I think is it other creators that you want in there? Is that the one? Do you want to put your stuff in? Yeah, all right. Put your channel stuff in the information. So in that one, I'm going to collate all of your links, all your merch, everything, the whole lot. Make your own little thingy in there, like your own little thread or whatever. And in the other creators, put your. I've got the ping bot, or put a notify bot in there, and you can put your streams in there if you like. Or I can create you a completely separate channel. Up to you. But I think it has to be a notify bot because ping cord, they're having trouble with differentiating its ability to do that. So let me know if you haven't got the permission in there and I'll set it up. It should be though. Members roles. Admin. And I'll put Miss Mundy in there. There she is. There you go. You've got an admin role in there. So that should allow you to do what you need to do. How's that? Is that what I have to do? I have no epic idea. At notify, how does that come up? I think I have to put the notify bot in. Me think 'em. Me not sure 'em. Because that's what the gavel drops uses. Nope, that's not it. No idea. You're on your own, Mandy. No idea what I'm doing. But you're an admin in there now, so. Do it on the fly.
Fortunately, we would have to go through each and every document as they're being testified to. We need to view them.
Let me ask you this. Have you been provided with these documents?
We honestly don't know, Your Honor. We were provided with 100,000 files.
Oh,
I can't tell if we did or not, and we have not reviewed these prior to the presentation.
Let me ask Mr. Truman, did the state provide the defense with these documents?
We did. This is the download of the defendant's phone. We separated them, and we've already agreed not to submit all of the downloads of
me either.
phone messages that are not
you've got
already in
an
evidence.
admin permission
So it's
in there,
down to
so
this stack
have fun.
you right there. The state does have a suggestion. In order to expedite this, we can probably eliminate some of these, and that could save us some time.
Okay.
This should all be done as pre-trial
What
stuff.
number are you on? 11. Good. We'll eliminate 11. I said we'll eliminate 11. 12. No, this isn't on record.
They're engaging in another powwow.
Yes. 15. 17. 18. So 11, 12, 15, 17, and 18.
I haven't got any time, Christine. I'm sorry. I'm running 3 trials, a podcast.
No, I told you the ones I was with.
And I am running off my feet 5-6 days a week a stream. You know how much work it was just to run one stream? You
Your
try
Honor,
doing it 6
respectfully,
days a
could we
week.
have an additional 5 minutes to, the state has eliminated a few, but.
All right.
Well, either.
I'm going to hold you to that, Mr. Selden. I'm going to time 5 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, they're useless. Absolutely useless. Here we go again. How many subscribers have you got? Hello, mister. I'm here. I'm here. Let me see if I can find. Hello, darling. Hello. Oh, so she must have decided last night. Court TV's just put up that Natalie Cochran has decided not to testify, so she must have only just. Socialite murder trial. I hate how they put up the intro and then don't have any follow-up at all. Nothing. What's the other? Oh, wrong one. Ah. Nope. Sweet FA. No Griffith and no it's very frustrating. I think I'm going to have to do another full bloody stream setup and do some now. No, nothing. God damn it. I suppose we could watch a summary of Colin Griffith, like a little presentation. Just a bit of a sneak peek into what this trial's going to be. All right, seeing as they're fucking around. Share this tab instead. Full screen.
Mother by her 17-year-old son.
And if that wasn't shocking enough, a teenager accused of murdering his mom, the sheriff says he also killed his father.
When you look at this, you see a kid. When I look at him, I see a psychopath.
I have the chilling details from the murder of Kathy Griffith and the arrest of her son, Colin Griffith, for the crime. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Just when you think you've heard it all, a case like Colin Griffith's comes up, and it's had my jaw on the floor for hours now. I've been going through the case, and it's absolutely unbelievable. Colin is a 17-year-old who was starting college early. His mom, Kathy Griffith, had posted photos on Instagram just last month, bragging about that major accomplishment. She said Colin had already earned 18 college credits. That's no small feat. Colin and his mom, they look really happy in the photos. She even bought him a new car for graduation. Kathy Griffith was very proud of her son. She bragged about him on Instagram all of the time. Just last month, she posted a photo of him and talked about how he was going to college. That was on August 20th. Then Sunday night in Polk County, Florida, which is in between Tampa and Orlando, the sheriff says they got a 911 call from Colin. Here's Sheriff Grady Judd.
It all started on September the 8th, which was this last Sunday, when we got a 911 call from Colin Griffith, who's 17 years of age. And here's what he said. He said he and his mother had a very long fight, and she fell on a knife and killed herself.
Fell on a knife.
And she's bleeding from the neck. He didn't say she killed herself, said he's bleeding from the neck.
The death of Kathy Griffith is an absolute tragedy, but I'm able to tell you about it here on Crime Fix because of sponsors like Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is a law firm that can help you if you are ever hurt in an accident. The firm has more than one.
The deputies outside, and he was calm, cool, collected, not upset, and he had blood on him. What we found inside was this knife. This knife is 12 inches long, and of the 12 inches, 8 inches of that is the blade. So he's saying that his mother fell on this knife.
That is a huge, huge knife. Of course, the medical examiner performed an autopsy on Kathy Griffith. This is what the sheriff said the ME found.
The next morning at the medical examiner's office and the autopsy, the medical examiner said it is not reasonable or plausible that she died the way it happened. There were witnesses outside the mobile home that actually saw Colin drag his mother into the house by the hair on her head. Colin is about 6 foot and 160 pounds.
Can you imagine? Neighbors told deputies they saw Colin dragging his mom into the house by her hair. That's terrifying. And the sheriff said that Colin told the 911 call takers that they had had a long fight. Sheriff Judd said that Colin Griffith had moved to Florida with his mom in March of last year. This was a month after Colin had been charged with murdering his father, Charles, in Lincoln County, Oklahoma.
Colin said that his dad pulled a knife on him.
They only do it once.
And he shot and killed his dad. That's right. His father was named Charles. He shot him once in the chest and once in the head, and he claimed self-defense.
Really?
The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations charged Colin with murder in the first degree.
I don't know, Christine. I have no idea.
They dropped the charges less than a month later. They said they could not disprove Colin's assertion of self-defense. So he was released.
So the charges were dropped against Colin in Oklahoma, and he moves to Florida to live with his mom in Charlotte County in March of last year. Charlotte County is about 2 hours south of Colin's grandma's house in Polk County.
You would think things would be better. He would be really, really lucky that, hey, this was a self-defense and I'm here with mom. But 6 months later, guess what happened?
10, save those pictures.
He's Baker Act.
Saturday.
So it's September, and as he's getting out of the original Baker Act, he makes a statement that, well, I'll kill myself or I'll kill my mother by shooting or stabbing her. Charlotte County re-Baker Acts him the same exact day. They keep him 3 more days.
The Baker Act allows a person to be held for
3 days.
72 hours for a mental health evaluation. Now, fast forward to November of 2023.
Colin then is arrested for domestic violence on his mother. And the reason he battered his mother is because she was disciplining him and took his video game privileges away. So he beat up his mother. He pushed her to the ground and he stomped on her. The grandmother was there and witnessed this. Colin said it was self-defense. She made me do it. The grandmother said, no, no, no. Your mother did not provoke this at all. You simply were being disciplined and made to give up your game because of failure to
Looks like it.
carry out what you should, empty the garbage, wash the dishes, whatever they gave him to do. He claims self-defense when he stomped his mama, but he went to jail anyway.
So this is November of 2023, and Sheriff Judd says Colin went to jail for what he did to his mom then. Then in February of this year, Sheriff Judd said his office got a call about Colin Griffith.
Yep.
He has an argument with his mother, and he runs away from Charlotte County and comes back to Auburndale to his grandmother's house. Now, his grandmother's not there. And we got involved in this on the 12th of February. And the mother said, and the grandmother said, hey, we don't feel safe with him around. So our deputies who found him up here as a missing persons reported in Charlotte County turned him over to DCF. 2 days later, on the 14th of February, the anniversary of him killing his dad a year ago, he's reunited with his mother.
This is the look. Oh. That's the look I give my kids. It's the over the glasses look. They know it now, and they all go.
By DCF. Colin made the statement that I don't want to go home. I'll use any force necessary to avoid it, to include killing my mother. So that's the second time.
So he's threatened her twice.
He threatened to kill his mother.
And they still sent him back there.
2 weeks later, so they didn't make him go home on the 14th, but on about 2 weeks later, in March 2024, They reunite Colin with his mother again. Everybody's calmed down.
So that's March of this year. And in May, Colin graduated from high school. His mom was really proud of him, as most moms would be. She was posting photos on Instagram of him in his cap and gown. And as I mentioned earlier, she actually bought him a car as a gift. Colin even received letters from members of Congress congratulating him about graduating from high school. And photos on that Instagram showed that they spent the 4th of July holiday weekend in Washington, D.C., and even went on a tour of the White House. Then on September 6th, Sheriff Judd said Kathy Griffith and Colin had an argument, and he took off for his grandma's house in Polk County.
He flees from his mother's house again and comes up to his grandmother's house. Grandmother's not there. She's in the Keys. So then mom lets the event calm down, and she tells her son, hey, you need to come home. And she asked him to come home and face his responsibility. Colin says, I'm not coming back home. That was September the 7th. So now we're to the fateful day on September 8th. Mom drives up here to
Well, Dick, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence. If you ain't first, you're last. You know?
From Charlotte County.
You know what you're talking about.
She arrives at 4 o'clock. At about 4:30, witnesses and neighbors see Colin and mom arguing outside, and Colin grabs his mother by the hair and drags her into the house. Just about 2 hours later, that's when we receive a 911 call where Colin said, I've had a very, very long fight with mom, and she fell on a knife and she's bleeding from the neck.
The sheriff says witnesses heard Kathy Griffith telling her son, let me go. Colin Griffith is charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and violation of a no-contact order. Sheriff Judd talked about what Colin Griffith said when deputies arrived at his grandmother's house following his 911 call.
Had he gone to live with his grandmother at the end of this and she crossed him, she would be next. He's violent. He's dangerous. He showed zero remorse when he was being interviewed. In fact, when we attempted the interview, he met the original deputy in the front yard. And he didn't say, mom's in here, mom's bleeding to death, mom needs help. He looked the deputy in the eye and says, I know my rights, I want an attorney. Zero emotion about hurry up, help mom, she's bleeding, she's got a problem.
And you know what? So did mine. He used to double it over, and it used to leave welt marks on my skin with a buckle that hit me on the back of the legs. And to this day, he still denies it.
He is a dangerous human being.
Sadly, a day before Kathy Griffith died, she posted on Instagram, that same little breaks in your soul. You know when it's time to go. Sometimes giving up is the strong thing. Now, of course, we don't know if that post had anything to do with her son, and we may never know. But this wasn't like her other posts, which were incredibly upbeat. Sheriff Judd summed up his thoughts on the case this way.
When you look at this, you see a kid. When I look at him, I see a psychopath. I see totally erratic behavior to the point that he's already at 17 years of age shot and killed his father and got away with it and stabbed his mother in the neck so hard that the knife went all the way through and was to the back of her neck.
Spoon. My mum used
And
to
she
break
died
them.
there. He's being charged with first-degree murder, obviously, and we're asking the state attorney's office, it's their
Death
decision,
penalty.
but our state attorney's office is the greatest to prosecute him as an adult.
And Sheriff Judd said he's actually
far
been
as
in
victim
touch with the
so-
sheriff's office in Oklahoma, telling them they may want to take a second look at the death of Colin's father. Dr. Daniel Bober is a forensic psychiatrist, and he really specializes in issues with kids. I am confounded by this case, Dr. Bober.
Yes, it's really disturbing. And when you consider the fact that he had a similar event with his father just a year prior to that, it sort of boggles the mind how something like this could happen again.
Most certainly. And mom, it sounds like, had gone out to Omaha and had picked up her son. He was on bail, GPS bracelet, the whole 9 yards. They determine out there that they can't prove that he didn't act in self-defense in killing his father. She takes him in, and then somewhere along the way, he is, put into the hospital under the Baker Act. So mom obviously knew her son was having some issues. We don't really have any insight into what those issues are at this point, but we do know that he was accused of some acts of violence against her, had been seen, grabbing her, pulling her hair, things of that nature. This is really terrifying stuff.
Yep.
It's something I see all the time. I see parents.
Really?
I do. I see parents all the time with kids who are very aggressive and violent towards them. But, maternal instincts are very strong and they want to believe in them. And they would literally lay down their life to protect their child. And that even means to their own detriment.
Yep.
So this is not so hard to believe for me. But if you look at this young man and you look at his history of violence, the greatest risk factor is his prior history of violence. Yep. But we don't know more than that. We don't know if he was diagnosed with any number of mental disorders, if he was using substances, if he had a history of trauma. The sheriff referred to him as a psychopath, but I think it's more complicated. It's more nuanced than that. Psychopaths are people who are cold, they lack empathy, they manipulate people. It's not a formal diagnosis in what we call the DSM-5. Someone who is 17 years old might have a diagnosis of what we call conduct disorder, where they violate societal norms. And then when they turn 18, it becomes antisocial personality disorder. But I think there's still a lot of very significant unanswered questions here.
A lot of questions. We don't know if he was receiving medication. We do know, though, that he was placed in the hospital under the Baker Act. So mom knew, obviously, something was going on. And I'm a mom. You want to do everything you can to help your kids. And I don't think that we are naturally equipped to deal with mental health issues and whatever was going on with him. We really don't know what was going on in his mind. But I went on mom's social media, Kathy Griffith's social media, and it's just amazing to me. We have the mugshot and the picture of this knife that he claims his mother fell on. And then we have all of these photos that I found on social media. They spent the July 4th weekend in Washington, D.C. They went to a tour of the White House. He graduated early and was headed to college early. He went into college with 18 credits already under his belt. So he's a smart kid. He has to have some level of intelligence. She even bought him a brand new car for graduating early. So mom is trying to, everything looks happy on social media. This is like the danger of social media too. Everything looks good on social media.
I call it the Facebook
Things were not
fallacy.
good.
Not at all.
The Facebook fallacy.
People today don't have
portray their best life on Facebook, but so many people we know are suffering, and that's just not the reality. This is someone who obviously has trouble regulating themselves, managing their emotions, and can act out aggressively. It seems like in both these situations, it probably wasn't something that he planned out, although we don't know that for sure. But it seems like he is someone that goes from 0 to 100 in just a second and just boils over. So I would be curious to know what his mental health history is.
The sheriff said that, he had become angry, and I guess every parent can relate to this. Mom took away his video games at one point. They argued about chores. These are things that are pretty common that parents and kids argue about. So you talk about the boiling over. These are normal everyday things that parents squabble with their kids about and tell them, get off the video games. It's unbelievable to me. And then the stuff with dad out in another state, killing dad, and being told, oh, well, we don't have the evidence to prove that it wasn't self-defense. Do you think they go back and look at that case again? I mean, if they didn't have the evidence to say it wasn't self-defense then, could they get any evidence now that it wasn't? It's unbelievable to me.
Well,
it's very difficult. I mean, they might have to take a second look at that first case. But I admitted a kid in the emergency room yesterday who, again, had a history of bipolar disorder, was 17 years old, destroyed the house, trashed the house. Mom brought him in because she was afraid of him, and he is now hospitalized under the Baker Act. So I get this. I see this all the time. But for some kids, there just isn't that ceiling. They will attack their parents. They will kill their parents. And even if they've attempted to kill their parents before, their parents will take them back because those instincts to protect the child are very strong, even if you have to put yourself in harm's way. And it's very frustrating as a mental health professional to see parents who do that, who are literally willing to put their life at risk, but it's something I see all the time.
A lot of people might not be familiar with the Baker Act, but it allows for like a temporary hospitalization of somebody with mental health issues. So how long can somebody be held under the Baker Act? And do the hospital officials then just determine, okay, we've been able to stabilize this person in this way, so they're going to be released now? How does that work?
Yeah.
So the Baker Act is an involuntary 72-hour hold. If at the time of the expiration of the Baker Act, we as mental health professionals determine that the patient is not stable, we can then petition the court by getting the opinion of a second psychiatrist for more time. And very often that is the case. And
why didn't
a case like this is probably one where that would occur.
Wow. So he's 72 hours involuntary hold, then he's back out, presumably going to school. I mean, how does a kid who apparently has been hospitalized under the Baker Act then go, and he's apparently graduating early from high school with 18 credits under his belt? It's confounding to me because obviously he's got some level of intelligence.
Yes, he does. But, emotional regulation and intelligence aren't necessarily correlated. I meet very, very intelligent kids who have multiple hospitalizations. They've trashed the house. They've beat up their parents. They've attacked other kids at school, but they have very high IQs. So one doesn't necessarily correlate with the other.
How common is it for kids to be beating up their parents or becoming violent with their parents? Because this is a kid who was charged with this last year. So this is somebody who has a history, according to law enforcement, of being violent with his mom.
Again, I think we have to look at what were the precipitating factors, what were the triggers. We see violence in kids for any number of reasons. It could be because maybe they smoked cannabis. It could be because they have a history of bipolar disorder. They could be antisocial. There's any number of reasons that could contribute to violence, but we know that the best predictor of violence is a past history of violence.
Well, the police say there's a past history of violence here, and it came in the form of killing dad in 2023 on Valentine's Day. So this is amazing to me. It still leaves me shaking my head because you kill dad, according to law enforcement, in 1 year, and then 18 months later, you're accused of killing your mom. It's unbelievable to me. Have you ever seen anything like that, Dr. Bober?
I have not. And you would think that after the first crime, which I guess the charges were dismissed, so he wasn't convicted of that crime. After the first event, I should say, you would think that there would have been better safeguards in place to prevent this from happening again. And it's really just a tragedy.
It is a tragedy. Well, and it's unbelievable. Dr. Bober, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And that's it for this episode of Crime.
Right. Okay. Let's get back to what the actual thumbnail says, which is completely different to what we streamed. So the jury's on their way in.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I'm glad to see that you're still smiling.
Yeah.
You may proceed, Mr. Truman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hinzman.
He's been on before, hasn't he?
At this point, it's part of State's Exhibit 3. Ask you to review that as well as the second page, which is also an abstract from.
You might request that we get copies so we can look at them while they're being testified to. If we could simply copy them very quickly.
Does the state have copies available?
We do not. I mean, we can make them, but
Okay.
Fucking hell.
I'll ask Ms. Brown Bailey or the deputy to make the copies real quick. How many do we need?
Can they not get organised, really?
he's the only one that wants one, I guess.
One. Okay.
I like this one. Sup, fishes? And this one. My quick answers. Fucked if I know.
Your Honor, and for the court's information, Mr. Victor will be cross-examining this witness.
Oh, all right.
And Anna's favorite. I'm sure this guy was on day 1 or 2. Let me see. Let me see. This is the rebuttal now. Hello, baby. Hey, sweetheart. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey. What you doing? No.
With our luck, the copier may have run out of paper. That's right.
Some preliminary questions.
Okay, go ahead.
You previously testified that you and Tim Bledsoe, both retired troopers were the lead investigators in the two cases, correct?
That's correct.
As part of your investigation, did you interview the defendant's children?
No, we did not.
Why not?
At the time of the investigation, and more specifically between March and June, March is when we began the investigation. June is when we executed a search warrant on the defendant's residence. During that period, we were collecting information from third-party records. We were collecting information from witnesses, from financial institutions. And there was nothing in that 3-month period to indicate that there would be a need to speak to the children. The second and most important thing was their age. They were very young at the time. One was 10 or 11 and one was 13. And we were looking at the business of the Cochrans. We were looking at the Cochrans individually. So there was no indication or any reason to speak to the children. And then the final reason we wouldn't speak to the children is we've been long taught in law enforcement investigations that you don't speak to children under the age of 18. And there's some tolerance there with 16, 17, 18-year-olds, but you don't speak to anyone that young without a parent's permission or without an attorney present. So we would not, by normal operating procedures, have spoken to the children.
You were in the courtroom when the two children testified on behalf of the defendant, correct?
I was.
And in their testimony, they indicated to you who actually ran the company businesses.
I did hear that testimony, yes.
And what essentially what were the children saying as to who was controlling the Cochrane's businesses?
The children put a lot of responsibility or
Object to this. The jury heard the evidence. The jury can draw whatever conclusions from the children's testimony. This witness does not need to editorialize on that.
Sustained.
You're being recalled as a witness for the purpose of rebutting the testimony provided by the children. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. Thank you. Hand you an abstract from what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 3. I ask you to look at that as well as a second page, also an abstract of what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 3. Recognize those documents?
I do.
What are they?
These are text message communications between the defendant, Ms. Cochran, and Stephanie Hamilton.
Yeah, those back, please. At 10:15, the defendant sends a text to Stephanie Hamilton. Can you put that in some kind of context as what's going on there?
Natalie Cochran is offering Stephanie Hamilton an opportunity to invest in a government contract dealing with medical equipment.
The document speaks for itself. Again, we don't need any editorialization as to what these documents are, what they speak of.
Could the state respond to that?
Sure.
That's not accurate. Those are statements taken and they don't say anything about a contract. It says there are two today. Two what? I think it's fair to put that in context with the witness's investigation and what he found that meant.
And for that matter, these documents do not indicate any interlocutor of Natalie Cochran. We have no idea who this is.
Well, I think we do need some explanation from the witness, and so I'll allow it. I'll overrule the objection. You may proceed, Mr. Truman.
Thank you.
Ms. Cochran is offering an opportunity to invest in two contracts or to consult on these contracts. They deal with surgical masks and betadine swabs, medical equipment. Ms. Hamilton was in the medical field.
Okay. Here's another text, and this is also a download from the defendant's phone, correct?
Yes, and from Ms. Hamilton's phone.
Correct. And this is April 26th of 2019?
Yes.
And the defendant responds, that means next Friday is payday.
I'm going to object to this, Your Honor. This is way out past Michael Cochran's death. This document is irrelevant.
What is the date on this?
The date?
Yes.
April 26th. And the purpose of this testimony is to show that the defendant continued to run the business as she had before.
I'll allow it. Overruled.
Thank you. Trying to next hand you an abstract from State's Exhibit 2. You'd identify that.
Yes.
What is it?
This is a text message between Natalie Cochran and Chris Davis on February the 6th, 2019.
Judge, I think we really need to approach the bench at this point.
All right.
Give me strength. Can't deal with this bullshit today. Oh. I hate when my fingers click faster than my eyes. Let me see if there's anything come up yet.
Continue, Mr. Truman.
Thank you,
No, not there.
February 6, 2019 at 9:27. That's a text from the defendant to whom?
Chris Davis.
Oh, well, look at that.
But if you could take a review of those documents. And if I could have this marked as States 34, please.
All right.
No, this will be State's
Well, we
Exhibit
didn't-
number 37.
Those weren't allowed.
These aren't allowed?
No.
These are here.
Right.
Number 35.
What's the number?
34 and 35, I think. Or 35 and 30, 35 and 36.
So those are not going to be admitted?
These, well, the ones that you marked up previously are not. It's this one in its stead.
Okay, well, it's going to be 37 because I can't.
That's fine, sure.
Okay. This is Defendant's Exhibit number 37, Your Honor.
State.
Thank
I
you.
mean, States, I'm sorry.
States 37.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. States 37, marked for identification. Tell us what that is.
These are text messages between Natalie Cochran and Wendy Poteet.
Who's Wendy Poteet?
Wendy Poteet would be the sister of Natalie Cochran.
And how did you acquire those documents?
These documents, they're cell phone text message documents. These were recovered from Natalie Cochran's cell phone subsequent to the search warrant executed at her residence. The cell phone is given to a forensic examiner and they do an electronic download of all the data on the cell phone. And these are pages from that extract.
And that was from a search warrant?
Yes, sir.
Now, we don't necessarily have to go through all of these. Let's just put a few up here to show where this is going. Four. Oops, can't get anything out of that.
Oh, oh. Shot him. Once in the chest, once in the head. Thank you. You don't have to do. Oh my lord, with the pair of you. And here's me looking for this next trial, and I can't find it. I know the socialite one starts tomorrow, but the jury selection was supposed to have been done yesterday. This Colin Griffith one in Florida, and I can't find it anywhere. And I'm supposed to start streaming it after this.
Out to the person that just gave us a super chat. This community is just the best. Love you all the distance.
Thank you, you knobs. You're all a pack of dags. Thank you. Sorry. Play our
Once
song.
again, these are text messages between the defendant and her sister.
Yes.
Oh,
she's offering a contract.
I know what you want.
Wendy Poteet was already an investor victim of the
Cochrane
contracts,
one.
and she is.
Investing victim. We don't know anything about
It was-
Ms. Poteet.
All right, that's a fair objection if you'll refrain from speaking of her as a
I was
victim.
looking for
Yes, Your Honor.
content. You want the
Continue.
Cochrane?
Wendy Poteet was an investor, and this is reference to a contract that she is owed money on. And Ms. Cochran is advising her that she's going to be paid by certified check.
Thank you. Pack of dags.
Once again,
This is a text message.
Your Honor, can we please have this identified? Which document?
number 5.
Text message, again, between Natalie Cochran and Wendy Poteet, where Natalie is offering additional contracts for Wendy to invest in on February 18th of 2019.
Now,
To give me anything in dicks.
collectively, is there a pattern
need to be a
emerging
sugar
here
daddy.
in terms of the defendant's conduct of the business?
Object to this question. That's argumentative.
Well, once I get to the 1,000, that's when the ads apparently kick in, and that's when you can start earning some money, decent money, apparently. But yeah, 500 allows you the super chat, super stickers, and memberships. But yeah, the 1,000, and you've got to do it within a 12-month period. You have to, otherwise it starts again.
Or we could just go through slide by slide.
Overruled. Continue.
Is there?
Maybe over the weekend.
These contracts were dated after the date that Michael Cochran collapsed on February 6th. So this is a continuation of these illegal business operations, the investment, the PONZI scheme that we've spoken about. This is a continuation of those after Michael's not available.
This time for sure.
This will be State's Exhibit number 38, Your Honor.
Very well.
Before I go south with these. This is one. We give that back. Take this.
Yeah, we do.
Handy what's been marked for identification is States 38, please. Recognize that?
I do. I do.
What is it? Oh, I'm sorry.
For the
Yes. Yeah. 22, 23, 10, 13, 14, 16, 19, 20, 21.
Okay, so now we're looking at 10.
Collectively.
I think she might be. You're not diabetic, are you?
They're not all available, but exhibits 10 through 23 or tabs 10 through 23. What is that?
These are all text messages specifically between Natalie Cochran and Michael Cochran, ranging from August of 2018 to February 5th of 2019.
5th or 6th?
These end on the 5th, February 5th of 2019.
This is page 2 of number 11. Who's that to and from?
This text message block is Natalie Cochran's text message that she has sent to Michael Cochran.
Do those numbers mean anything to you?
These are dollar amounts that she has told Michael are owed to them and their business for a contract, government contracts that they have sold or obtained, been awarded would be the correct term. She's.
Are you done with that one?
You want me to finish, Mr.
Truman? Please, yes.
The date of this text is on August 27th. And with these dollar amounts, she's provided other dates in which these dollar amounts would be posting. The very first entry, 3.45 million, should post tonight at midnight. And that would be on August 27th. And then there's timestamps that apply to the other amounts in those texts.
13. And this one from October 25th of 18.
This is a text from Natalie Cochran to Michael Cochran where she's talking about getting off the phone with government entities and that the audit, which was presented as a reason why none of the contracts could be paid out, she is telling him at this time that the audit is complete. There's some additional administrative stuff that needs to take place, and that all monies from all those contracts that he believed were being awarded and due will be available by Monday, October 29th.
You heard young Mr. Cochran testify about a 50 caliber contract, did you not?
I did.
This is number 14. And this is, again, a text. You recognize the phone number as to where that text is coming from?
Yes, that's Natalie Cochran's phone number.
And is that the only 50 caliber order in your investigation that you saw, or were there others?
That is the only one. This is a reference to a text again to Michael about that 50 caliber government contract order, where she is telling Michael that they, being whatever entity the contract was fulfilled with, want to double that 50 caliber order, and it would cost them $244 million and yield a return of $378 million.
Thank you. This one from January 30th, 2019. Who is that one from at 334?
Again, this text is from Natalie Cochran to Michael Cochran. In this text, this is following the government shutdown, to put it in context. And she is telling Michael that they have all the money being resent tomorrow, and they should be available to them by Monday at the latest. And then the feds will begin sending money on Monday. This was dated January 30th of 2019. February 1st was the date that the investors had been told that the money would be released post government shutdown.
There's one from the 31st.
This is, again, a text from Natalie Cochran to Michael Cochran, where she is telling him that she is on the phone with the Bank of America. And this is in reference to the monies that were supposedly inbound. And that's why she's talking with Bank of America.
I'm going to object on lack of personal knowledge.
All right, that's fair. Sustained.
As part of your investigation, did you download records indicating when the defendant was using her cell phone to make phone calls?
Yes.
Did you compare the text messaging with the downloads to see if, in fact, she was on the bank phone with the bank?
There were instances where she claimed to be on the phone and she wasn't, and there were instances where she,
To object, this is a broad. I would allow that.
Okay.
Thank you. 21. What's DFAS?
DFAS is the Defense Finance Accounting Service. It's a federal government entity that deals with defense finance.
And 2 days before Michael collapsed, there's a reference to the organization you just mentioned. Who's Betsy?
Betsy was earlier referenced in testimony to Betsy Britland. Betsy was a character created by Natalie Cochran to be a government employee that she communicated with regarding government contracts on the regular. She would ask, or when asked about contracts, she had told Michael that her point of contact was Betsy Britland with DFAS or the U.S. Treasury.
That's not in the exhibit. The witness is testifying from some other unidentified documents. I object.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
So Betsy Britland, who did not exist, this is a reference to Natalie claiming to have spoken with Betsy regarding the contracts and the whereabouts of the award money that should be coming to the contracts. And this text is, again, to Michael Cochran.
22. And on 2-4 at 301, 2-4-19 at 301.
Again, this again is a text message from Natalie Cochran to Michael Cochran, assuring him that all 4 wire transfers and money deposits were en route and that they potentially could show up that day on February the 4th. And she references 4.8 regarding millions of dollars that should arrive in the morning and 23.8 million tomorrow, the next day at some time.
That'd be nice.
From your review of the text messages between the defendant and Michael Cochran, the defendant and Wendy Poteet, the defendant and the Davises, the defendant and Stephanie Hamilton, was there a pattern emerging there?
Yes, there was.
It was always deception to all of those parties, was it not?
Judge, now the prosecutor is testifying. I object.
Fair point.
Sustained.
The text messages that we've reviewed in summary fashion, did they indicate a pattern to you?
They did.
What is that pattern?
That Michael Cochran was being told the exact same information that the investors were being told. Those who were relying on money to be paid back to them, the information that was given to them is the exact information that was being given to Michael Cochran.
And that all derived from the defendant, correct?
Yes.
Could I have just a moment, please?
Sure.
There was also reference in the defense case to Michael utilizing the defendant's phone and sending messages as a guise that it was her sending them. You remember that?
Yes.
Oops, I need another marker.
This is State's Exhibit number 39, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you. And what's been marked for identification is State's 39. Ask you if you could identify that.
You want me to identify it?
What?
Yes. This is a photograph of a text message from the cell phone of Matt McCormick. It's a text message stream between Matt McCormick and Michael Cochran.
What time is the text message from Michael Cochran?
There are 2 dates here. Do you want
the second one?
On February 6th at 1:39 p.m., there is a text message that was sent from.
I'm going to object to this. This has nothing to do with my client's statement. This is hearsay.
We don't think so.
This is a statement between 2 third parties. One is dead, the other one is a third party.
Care to respond, Mr. Drew?
Yes, sir. This is a text from Michael Cochran's phone when all the evidence says Michael Cochran was totally unconscious and lying on a couch.
I'll allow it. Overruled. Go ahead.
This is a text message at 1:39 p.m. from Michael Cochran's phone to Matt McCormick's phone, in which he is telling Mr. McCormick that he would be available to see him in a few days, reference a firearms transaction.
From your investigation and from all the evidence to date, is there any possible way that Michael Cochran could have sent that text?
No, not at 1:39 p.m.
Why not?
We have a timestamped photograph taken by Natalie Cochran at approximately 12:30 of Michael Cochran laying on a floor at their residence. And then soon after, we have witness testimony of individuals at their house with him in his unresponsive state during that time frame.
Your Honor, at this point, the state moves into evidence. I can't remember the numbers. Is it 37, 8, and 9?
37, 38, 39.
Please.
And I'll preserve the defense objections previously made. Are there further objections that you wish to place on the record?
No, Your Honor, to all of which I do object.
All right. I'm going to admit states exhibits 37, 38, and 39 over the defense objections.
Your Honor, the state has no further questions.
All right. Cross-examination, Mr. Victor.
Mr. Hinzman, the purpose of your testimony here today is to demonstrate that Michael Cochran, and this is an old story, was duped by my client, Natalie Cochran, and didn't know anything about these contracts, right?
Yes.
Now, and for that matter, the other message there that you are telling the jury about is that Natalie Cochran was involved in the illicit business of contracts. Is that right?
Yes.
No, me either.
Would you agree with me, sir, that throughout this trial, as you were sitting here, we have conceded that Natalie Cochran was a bad girl and she was dealing in those federal contracts? Did we concede it or not?
Did you concede to it? I don't know who we is.
Listen carefully. Is it true that Natalie Cochran has conceded that she was involved in the fraudulent scheme?
Yes, she did.
So that shouldn't be any surprise for you when you look at all these documents, that she is involved in these transactions.
The purpose of my testimony was to illustrate that Michael Cochran was not involved in the illicit transaction.
Michael Cochran wasn't involved in it. All right. I'm going to ask you. Looking at one of the examples. I do not recall which number it was. I think it's somewhere around 5 or 6. But you testified about this document, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
That document was telling you that on August the 30th, and I presume 2018, $1.2 million was going to be posted, right? See it there?
On August 30th, yes.
Yeah. Posted in the account of Mr. and Mrs. Cochran, right?
Yes.
Then on September the 3rd, $724,000 was going to be posted. May not be the 3rd because it's going to be a holiday, but it was going to be posted in the Cochran's account, right?
Yes.
And then $2.56 million next Friday was going to be posted in their account, right?
Yes.
Well, comes August 28th, no money in the account, right?
Correct.
Comes August 29th, no money in the account.
Correct.
Comes the end of September, no money in the account. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, come about that $2.6 million next Friday. So that's probably sometime. I don't know. Sometime at the beginning of September, right? No, $2.6 million coming.
Correct.
And Mr. Cochrane doesn't know that. He's waiting for, he is waiting for about $4 million, right? Right?
The last date put out on these is December. So between August 27th and December, it was over $300 million that he was
I
told
asked
was
you
due.
about these numbers: 300,000, $1.2 million, $724,000, $2.6 million. There's nothing about December there, is there?
December 21st on the next one down. 12/21, $131 million on 12/21.
I didn't ask you about that, sir. I asked you about the top.
Okay.
Of the exhibit. There's about $4 million coming to Michael Cochrane, to his account, right?
To the business. Yes.
To the business where Michael Cochrane is a minority owner, right?
No.
No? To the business where he has a joint account, right? Yes, sir? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. $4 million coming to my account, and I don't know anything about it?
That is correct. Well, he knows what's been told to him here
Okay.
about the $4 million.
Fine. Then let me ask you this. We are now at the beginning of October. That $4 million didn't materialize itself. He is not asking questions, is he?
He absolutely is. The defendant had
is?
produced an audit.
Show me in
ruse.
any of these documents, sir.
An audit ruse.
Show me any of these documents, these exhibits. When he is asking any questions about where is that $4 million?
We have.
Where is that $4 million? Show me any of these documents here that were admitted into the evidence. Not some stuff about we did our investigation. Show me in any of these documents.
If you'll hand the documents back, I'll review them to see if I can find that.
You can review them all you want.
But I know that throughout the text messages that were reviewed, 1,224 pages of text messages were numerous times that Mr. Cochran asked where the money was.
Mr. Hinzmen, there's no question pending. I'm asking you to show this jury from these documents that Michael doesn't know, that Michael somehow is not surprised that the $4 million that was supposed to come to him at the beginning of September is not there. Show me.
He had been told it wasn't coming because of an audit.
No, sir. You look at these documents, show me if there is anything in these documents that indicate that Michael Cochrane is or is not surprised by not getting $4 million.
Your Honor, do me take the time to review all these documents?
Well, if you can, go ahead, Mr. Hinzman.
I'll move quickly.
All right.
And I'm looking specifically for where is that $4 million that was supposed to come in September?
Would you restate your question?
Well, show me in any of these documents when Michael Cochrane is asking Natalie, or anybody for that matter, where is that $4 million, or, well, 300,000, 3.4, well, there's more than that. 300,000, $1.2 million, $724,000, and $2.56 million. Where is it? It was supposed to be deposited. Now it's September, it's October, it's November. Where on earth is that money? Show me any of these documents indicating his inquiry about that.
Okay. On page 19, he's referencing the 1.6 million, having to wait for that. On
Okay.
page 20, when she says she's on the phone with Bank of America, he's asking, are we 1,000%? Because she's told him at that point that the money is at Bank of America.
Okay.
On page 21, he says, this is February 4th, the day that 3 days after he expected the money, he tells her that the money isn't there. She provides additional excuses for that. And then on page 22, dated February 4th again, she's telling him that the 88,297,000 will possibly show up today.
No, she's telling him
4.8 million in the morning and 23.8 tomorrow. Again, another delay, and his response is shit.
All right. Okay. Show me
You want me to go through the rest of the documents?
Hold on. Show me when there is going to be $108 million to be deposited in the account on October the 12th.
Yeah, it's right there on August 27th on the text that's being provided.
And $131 million to be deposited in November and in December.
Yes, it's right there on the text.
And he doesn't know that this money ain't there?
No, he believes this money is coming. What's significant about August 27th?
No, I didn't ask you. Are you seriously?
I can explain.
Hold on, sir.
Okay.
Are you seriously contending before this jury that he doesn't know that that $239 million is not there?
I'm telling
yes or no,
this jury
sir?
that
Yes
Michael
or no?
Cochran does not know.
Yes or
because
no,
he
Your
believes
Honor?
that money is
Your
coming.
Honor, I'm sorry. Say yes or no.
Well, he's trying to explain, and I think we should let the witness explain his answer. Go ahead, Mr. Hinzmen.
Michael Cochran has been led to believe that all this money is coming to their accounts for government contracts, and it never comes.
And I presume that in September, October, November, December, and January, he lives in the same household as Natalie Cochran, right?
He does, yes.
He certainly doesn't live on another planet. He can talk to Natalie Cochran about these contracts on a daily basis. He can talk to her. Can he not?
Yeah, he does.
And he does. And he, on August 20, whenever, September, honey, where's that $8 million or $4 million? And she's lying to him, right? Is that your testimony?
And she says, we're getting hit with an audit. Can you believe it?
On September 5th, she's telling him, oh, no, that money is coming, right? On September 6th, 7th, 8th, 30th, October, he is somehow duped by it. And he's so blind to it that he will not ask his wife, where is $238 million? And he naively and blindly believes that this money is going to be there and it ain't there. Is that what you're testifying to, Detective?
Absolutely.
All right. Show me. There's nothing in these documents that talks about Michael's computer. Is there? Michael
not in these
arranging for these contracts on his computer as he's sitting in the bedroom while Natalie is watching TV and the kid is between them. Those documents don't deal with any computer operations of Michael Cochran, right?
No, they do not.
Okay. Those documents did not deal with any personal contacts that Michael Cochran had with the investors, including his own mother, correct?
These documents do not.
These documents do not deal with any checks that he wrote, as we saw in some of the exhibits here, on behalf of the companies, correct?
Correct.
For either services rendered or for consulting services, etc., right? These
Correct.
documents don't show that. These documents don't, these documents do not address any issues that, the detectives are coming and, maybe they should talk to the kids. Is there anything about that anywhere?
No, that wouldn't be anything like that.
All right. These documents, of course, do not deal, again, the same old story, with the lifestyle of the Cochrans, right?
These documents do not.
Honey, I'm taking you to Paris and I'm going to get you a Louis Vuitton bag for God only knows how many thousands of dollars because we have somebody else's money to live high on a hog, right? These documents don't deal with that, do they?
Not that depiction, no.
No, not that depiction. Well, they don't talk about
schmaxes.
Any of the wealth that the Cochrans, plural, have acquired through the illegal schemes and enjoyed for a long time, right?
These documents do not.
These documents don't deal with anything about Michael Cochran's health. Honey, I feel bad today, I'm declining, or anything of that nature.
There are references to him being stressed because of the lack of money.
He is stressed because he doesn't know.
In these documents I'm referring to.
He's like in a National Enquirer. We want to know, right? He wants to know, right?
He wants to know where the money is that they've earned through what he believed was legitimately awarded government contracts.
Right. And yet he goes to a boat sale and buys himself 2 boats at the same time, right?
I don't know if he went to a boat sale. I know that he did purchase ATVs, boats, vehicles,
right?
Things of that nature that both he and his wife picked out based on text messages we read, or by her encouragement to make purchases because she had led him to believe that they had.
Sure, she led him
wealth.
to believe. And you truly believe it?
Absolutely.
All right. These documents do not show, these documents that deal with Natalie only, not Michael, whether he was copied on them. Do they?
Would you ask that again?
No, you look at any of these documents where Natalie is talking to Ms. Petit or Chris Davis, where Mr. Cochrane is not involved. Is there any indication that he is copied on those conversations?
Some of them, yes.
Yeah. So some of this he knows, right?
Some of it, but
Yeah.
not in the context that you're framing it.
Not in this context, of course. Okay. Now, when he talks on some of those messages, the jury will probably see that those conversations take place after Michael's death, right?
Yes.
So he cannot contract anything, Mr. Hinzmen, because unfortunately he's passed away, right? Right?
Yes.
And Natalie Cochran is continuing the scheme that she was involved in, but it has nothing to do with what Michael knew and what he didn't know because he's dead, right?
No, it supports the fact that it was her scheme because she continued it on.
Well, one of those exhibits, Michael asked, no, 16. Michael asked directly to pull out $9,500. From where?
From their personal account.
To do what with it?
To have some cash on hand.
And that $9,500 came from where? They didn't have any income, independent income. That must have come from the investors, right?
That or rescue loans.
Well, is it possible that since they have no income, independent income, you testified that Natalie wasn't working as a pharmacist anymore, and Michael's job was an IT man, not really defined, that he's pulling $9,500 in cash that must have come from the investors, right?
Yes.
So he pulls $9,500 that he considers money earned, right?
From previous contracts.
If he believes that, if he's so scrupulously honest, well, he must believe that this is the money that they've already earned on those contracts, right?
Right. He's not aware that they're illicit proceeds. He thinks they're legitimate proceeds.
Right.
Right.
What does $9,500 tell you as an investigator of money laundering?
Well, that
cash. I'm going to ask $9,500 cash. What does that tell you? You're the expert here on money laundering.
Sure. In this context, it means nothing. In the context that you're framing it, it references currency transaction reports. Those are a federal requirement under the Bank Secrecy Act.
Well, let me ask you this. Well, I'll ask a very specific question.
Well, the witness should be permitted to answer.
Explain that $10,000 cash.
The Bank Secrecy Act requires financial institutions to file what's called a currency transaction report for any transaction involving $10,000 of U.S. currency, that be cash or coin, in or out of a financial institution. It is a derivative of the Patriot Act and the war on terrorism, so they want to track large amounts of cash. So if a withdrawal from a financial institution were to occur above $10,000, the bank would be required to complete a currency transaction report and document that transaction. In this case, however,
well, I'm
the
sorry.
Cochrans had cash inside a
I'm
safe.
sorry, Your Honor.
Okay.
Now the question is this.
Fair enough. He's answered the question. Go ahead, Mr. Victor.
$9,500 in cash is obviously under 10 grand, right?
It is.
And he withdraws that amount of money in cash, right?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that he does that for the purpose to avoid the $10,000 money reporting necessity?
No, I would not.
No?
That's not illegal. It's not an illegal act. It's when that is anything 10,000 or more is taken out in multiple increments over a short period of time. That would then trigger what's called a suspicious activity report with the bank that ties back into the currency transaction report.
And
So
that's why
that amount alone is not illegal.
And that's why he's taking $9,500 rather than 10,000, because he would have to report it to the IRS.
No, that's speculation. There's no way the
Wow.
witness could read this.
Just
pen.
All right. What about those income tax returns that the parties filed jointly?
Those were prepared by Natalie Cochran. They were false documents.
They were false documents.
Yes.
And he signed off on them.
There was no signature of Michael on the documents.
For 2017,
No, there was not.
2018,
No, there was not.
2019.
No, there was not.
And you're telling this court that she filed taxes and he didn't know anything about the income tax returns.
That's correct.
So he himself broke the law by not filing income tax.
If he had known what was being filed.
If he had known, he would have filed taxes.
No, if he had known what was being filed.
Okay. So he didn't have to sign the income tax return because his income was zero? Why didn't he have to file income tax return with Natalie?
I'm not saying he didn't have to.
Why didn't he sign those?
Because they're done electronically now. You don't even have to sign them. One person could fill them out and file them electronically. He doesn't have to sign it. Now, the law requires that all tax preparers review their documents that they're filing.
And he reviewed them and he had absolutely no idea what Natalie was doing with the taxes and with the bank losses and with, well, the business losses, the business gains, et cetera, et cetera.
I have no idea if he reviewed them. If he had, he would further believe that he had made an extraordinary amount of money.
Show
on
me,
the contract.
show me here any income tax return that lists about $4 million by the Cochrans. Can you do that? Can you show this jury?
No, I cannot. I don't have the discovery files and records with me to break
From
to break out the tax returns that we did recover.
From your thorough investigation of this case, because you said that several times, was there ever an income tax return filed by the Cochrans that would list $239 million? Can you tell the jury that?
I know that there are tax documents that were given as ruses to get bank loans.
From your memory, Mr. Hinzman.
But I cannot say if that figure that Mr. Victor has given me matches those documents.
$239 million. Would that raise some red flags if you ever saw an income tax return from a small West Virginia company filed with the Internal Revenue Service? Would that cause you to pause and consider that?
In what context?
Well, somebody's making $239 million from a business and files that income tax return. I would like to know the details of it.
Are you talking about the IRS would want to know the details, or?
Well, you were investigating their.
I've already answered that question. If I saw that, it's another prop. It's a ruse. It's not unsubstantiated about financial records, income records, state databases, federal databases. They would just, to me, if I saw that.
So you have no idea. So you have no idea as you sit here today to tell this jury how much money Mr. and Mrs. Cochrane were making and how much money they were reporting. True? As you sit here right now. Can you or can you not?
It's a very broad question.
Well, how much money did they make in 2018? Can you tell this jury whether they made millions or whether they made a couple of $1,000s here and there?
2018?
Yeah.
Are we talking about legal income or illegal income?
Income tax return. Remember?
The income tax returns that we reviewed were submitted not to the IRS because that would have got red flagged, but to people that they wanted to borrow money for to demonstrate the value of the company.
So now you're telling us that Natalie didn't file income tax in 2018?
My recollection was that there had not been income taxes. No, let me correct that. The income tax documents that we recovered had been doctored to show greater income because they were used for other purposes. The actual income tax that was filed, which presumably would have been legitimate, we did not review.
I see. Now, okay, if I may have a second. I don't think I have any more questions of this witness.
All right, redirect Mr. Truman.
That's a mistake. Thank you.
Very well. Mr. Hinzman, you may step down, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Copies or exhibits?
I think we've got the exhibits spread all around. Let's make sure that we collect them. Give everything to the clerk and she can sort them.
38. We got me on.
Okay.
It's part of, it fell off.
Part of it?
It fell off.
If it's a copy, no, I don't need it.
This fell off of here. That's part of 38.
Let me inquire, Mr. Truman, will there be further witnesses in rebuttal?
Your Honor, the state rep.
All right, will the defense have any rebuttal evidence? Certainly.
The defense rests like this.
All right, members of the jury, you've heard it from the lawyers themselves. This is the completion of all the evidence to be presented before you. The next phase of the case will be the instructions of the law by the court. I will read the instructions to you. That's one thing that we have been working on.
Right on, Dougie. All right. I am not I am not staying up to watch jury instructions. I'm sorry. My bad. Nope. This mama gone bed. And we are on verdict watch from now on. I will have another quick look for the other trial. But otherwise it'll start tomorrow. And the socialite husband trial starting tomorrow as well. So I'll start. Yeah, I'll start streaming that. Yeah, that's all right. Done. I really want to follow that. That sounds right up my alley because the heart is my specialty. So, what's tomorrow? Wednesday, Thursday. So hopefully it shouldn't go for too long. A week at the most. With a bit of luck. She says. Because I'd like to do. Oh, we got time. It's all good. Because we're going to cover the Naziah Harris hearing in the following podcast in a fortnight's time, or in a fortnight and a half. So I can squeeze this one in and do the Naziah Harris after. All right, my darlings. Mwah. I'm going to put my swollen feet up and start snoring like you've heard before. Did I save it or did I get rid of it? Oh, I think I got rid of it. Yeah, I did. Bugger. All right. Don't be good. Be good at it. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests. Justice served in an honest fight. True crime tales till the verdict's right. Solving more than just trivial quests, where sentences rule at the defense rests.